Random song, I guess. Hey, y'all, we're here. All kind of things happening today. Look who we have back. The commies have returned for
Commies.
2024.
Hey,
And
you're
Chris
the ones
is,
that you're the ones that called yourself commie on there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
yeah.
because anyone who talked to me for more than 5 seconds would call me a commie. The amount of times I talk about the
I would
bourgeoisie.
call you less of a commie than
Yeah,
most commies.
yeah, me
Really?
But
too. Me too. Me and Jeff were talking the other day. We were watching this video that Anton did about Hassan and Shank and like the stuff they were talking
Hamas
about.
biker.
Yeah, and I kind of came to the realization that like shit, me and you are more socialist than they are.
Yeah, oh god, fucking Hassan. Don't get me started on Hassan. That
No,
is,
no. I mean, I don't want to get into a Hassan thing.
morally.
I'm just saying, like we realize, like we're more like we're more on like the side of the workers and like the proletariat than they are. Like,
Broadly. I mean, part of that is I think like uh, populism has just kind of broadly become more and more popular. It's become more and more obviously the answer um,
yeah.
to a lot of people. Just becoming more normalized. Even if you look
Well,
back to like,
their answer was to just starve the working class until they decided that it
yeah,
was time for revolution. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the price of bread was too high. There's not going to be a revolution as long
and
as
too
people
low.
can
The price
feed
of bread's too low.
themselves. Yeah, too low.
oh yeah. I mean, there's not going to be any revolution. Although it is worth noting that society is at most nine meals away from destabilization.
What does that mean? Like 9 meals a
Like
week?
if in our
If you'll miss 9 meals,
like society will collapse basically if
and a
you
lot of people will
Um,
die. Like if you don't eat for 9 days,
yeah
a lot
There
of
are
people
only
you're not be
nine
very alive.
meals between mankind and anarchy. It's a quote
yeah
from somebody.
some guy I can't remember is just it's funny but it is true in that
Actually,
like
it's several people. Alfred Henry Lewis is one of them.
it's particularly
Um,
poignant in our society given how interconnected basically every economy is um, that like a collapse in one part could like lead to absolute devastation in an
well,
completely unrelated part.
yeah,
um,
but I think we've
yeah.
adjusted
Oh
in the
no no
past.
no no we
I
have
ain't worried. And they've been saying this, by the way, since 1896. That's the
yeah no no no
first
no
appearance of
it's
this quote.
yeah
I'll be
I
right back,
think
guys.
yeah it's largely due to it's a reaction to the idea of globalism. Basically it's a very firm warning to people who like you or me who like global trade um, that it can cause dependencies that are not great in
But
times of
how
crisis.
avoidable is that at this point in history, though?
Oh, completely unavoidable. At this point, we just need to put in safeguards.
Yeah,
That's our
I don't I don't have a problem with global trade.
yeah
I am against globalism.
yeah. Well, I mean, I depend. Globalism is like 15 different things to a bunch of different people.
Well, you
So,
know what? Fortunately, we have our handy AI with us, so I can get
oh
us.
Yeah.
That's another thing we've been doing. We've been talking with we have AI Jesus, AI Socrates. We were
yeah.
going to have a conversation with Satan today. We talked with
Oh
Nietzsche on community building, increasing interconnectedness. Okay, no problem there. Political ideology that advocates for increased global governments and integration. That is the globalism that I am against. I
yeah
don't think that we are at that stage yet. Maybe generations into the future, but I think right now
yeah.
nationalism is the highest scale that we can effectively operate at, both politically and psychologically.
No, I broadly agree. I think the exception is with things like the EU and NATO. I think especially with NATO, military alliances I think are a different thing. But like the EU
Yeah, but
is
I don't really consider that. But we've had those forever.
the
Like,
EU. I mean, yeah, I will say ours today are much more significant than they have been in the past, but they are still at their core just
well,
big.
they don't seem to be. We've had more conflict recently than we have in the past, like
Yeah,
Ukraine, Israel,
yeah. That
possibly Taiwan.
that I think has to do with well, now with Taiwan, I'm not convinced that China is gonna make a move. I don't think they
Well,
can.
They don't. I hope
I
they
don't- I
don't. Yes,
I don't-
the other enemies seem more emboldened.
Yeah, that's true, but that's because we made ourselves look weak diplomatically. That's part of the.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, I know. We went
No
off of
consequence.
Trump, we went off of Trump, which obliterated our international credibility.
So you think it started with Trump?
I mean, I think you can go back a lot further, but I do think Trump was a net negative on our international relations. Even though there are people like, oh, well, he made nice with North Korea, and it's like, did he though?
I don't think that I don't. That was one of I think the least impressive things he did. I don't think he should have done. I think it legitimized Kim in a way that I would not have done.
No, that's. I mean,
I don't think it was a diplomatic victory or success.
yeah, I'm not a fan of our international policy as it's regarding to North Korea, but I'm gonna be honest. At this point, our current policy is probably the best of a lot of really bad choices. So,
regardless of who's at the helm.
Yeah. Our current policy of I mean, yes, we do basically cut them off from everything, but it is not a stable state. It is not a stable state that is run by stable people.
The U.S., you mean?
No, North Korea.
Oh,
the U.S.
Oh, okay.
The U.S. too.
All right, I had switched back to foreign policy.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
was talking about North Korea. So I don't. While its instability is in part due to our actions, right now we're doing the best we can. Oh, did I miss you guys?
Of course he missed us. He came back.
Yeah, of course I missed y'all.
Did we miss him? Is the better question.
That's the better question, and probably not. And I don't blame you.
No, we did. We asked about. We thought you were.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, people come and go all the time.
Yeah, no,
in these little circles, and
yeah,
I figured, oh well, he moved. How's your job, by the way? That's what I thought. Maybe your new job was keeping you busy.
I mean, it is a little bit, but we finished the week early this week. It's just a part-time gig.
Your capitalist endeavor.
Yeah, I know, my little bitty capitalism that I engage in.
I specifically miss you and asked about and had mentioned you. I've mentioned you many times. There's been a bunch of times when I've been like, I really wish Liv was here because there's
a lot of conversations that I miss.
Well, conversations that your input would have been at least interesting or valuable to have, because you have a perspective that not many people in our circles have. So,
well,
yeah,
we can't all be this good.
That's true.
We can't.
Speaking of capitalism and income, how did your hearing go?
It was ultimately very positive, but it ended with them basically saying the judge decided that because my condition was so unusual. It's not like an on the books disability type thing. She said she was inclined to approve me, but she was afraid that the board that's above the judges even might just overturn it.
Yeah.
So she's sending me to both a mental health and a physical health checkup thing I have to do here in the next couple of months. That those results will ultimately be able to back it up fully.
Oh, good.
It was very positive though. It was very positive.
And they're going to pay for that?
Yeah.
It's one of their doctors. So you're going to get to see mental and physical, and you have your ENT this month. Yeah. So that'll give you a chance to build up more of a body of evidence to make your case.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That is ultimately good news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it totally did. What the hell are you talking about, Jack? Chris is apparently I'm bi for you, Lib. So
okay.
There you go. I don't
could
know
join
where
his
that.
polycule.
I don't know where the fuck that came from. I don't think I've ever mentioned anything like that.
He's being a troll.
Yeah,
silver tongue troll.
Silver tongue troll.
I don't even know. I don't even know what lib looks like. I couldn't even if
Yeah,
it was possible. I would have to. I'd have to at least see a
I
picture.
imagine like blue hair, nose piercing.
I'm a solid 4 out of 10. God, I wish I had a nose piercing. I need to. I have some of the. Oh God, I have some of those fake ones. The magnetic ones.
Oh, the little fake.
I don't.
What color is
I have
your
no issues
hair?
with those. I think those are better.
What
I think those
shade
are
of
better.
Kool-Aid is your hair?
It's just brown. I haven't dyed my hair. I've never dyed my hair actually. I
Oh.
want to, but I've never dyed my hair.
Well,
Also, don't have any tattoos.
The thing about dyeing hair, does male pattern baldness run in your family at all?
On my dad's side, not on my mom's side. Weirdly enough,
it goes by the dad, supposedly.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Well, no. I mean, actually, I always thought it
very
goes by the
much
mom.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I have my mom's hair. My dad's hair is like really short and like wispy and thin, and my hair is actually, oh God, it's actually irritating because it's so fucking oily. So like I basically have to shampoo my hair at least every other day, if not more.
Like a greasy lefty. Greasy
Yeah.
leftist.
Yeah.
My understanding though is that to truly dye your hair though, you need to bleach it first, and bleaching is if you have
especially it's dark. The darker it is, absolutely.
And bleaching will speed up hair loss like insanely. So like if you're a little bit prone to hair loss right now, you probably don't want to dye your hair. It's probably
I used to break my
dyed
hair.
my hair as a young.
I am prone. I was gonna say I am prone to like breaking hair, but that's because I'm growing it out, so it's like all wild and shit. Getting used to have long hair.
Well, I had all kind of stuff to talk about, but looks like we're talking about hair right now.
Well,
so
I mean,
continue with that if you want.
If you got stuff, you got
That's
stuff.
not a topic that shows up here often, so.
Everyone, make sure you wash your hair probably every other day, but everyone should condition their hair.
Okay, this is what I wash every day because I can't stand being gross and nasty. But my barber told me that like you should wash once a week, like not to use shampoo every day, just use and wash like once a week. That it's not good to wash your hair every day. And I tried that for a little while, but I hated the feeling that.
I say once a week sounds pretty extreme. I would say like a good start is like every 1 to 3 days. However, on the days you aren't shampooing, you need to be conditioning your hair.
No, that's too much work. And my friend taught me that they don't use the like over-the-counter conditioner. She said that's just wax for your hair. You could do a salon conditioner like Paul Mitchell or something.
Yeah, you do want to get.
Don't use whatever like the.
Yeah, you don't want to like Suave. Yeah, I mean you can still get it at a drugstore. You just need to get one of the like nicer brands. You don't want to get like the.
I think I just blew our chances at a Suave sponsorship. But
I don't see them. I don't see them just sponsoring many small streamers. So I don't think we have to work with that anyway.
You assume we're going to remain a small streamer.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. But isn't Suave the one that does all the woke campaigns with with the fat ladies and stuff like that?
Well, I'm trans. I don't watch. All right. We got 1/3 woke.
I'm just saying, but we don't have any fat women.
That's true.
all their campaigns are all fat.
Well, we don't know what we have actually.
Sorry, body positive women.
No offense to fat women in the audience. We love you.
I've actually lost like 20 pounds. But anyways, Jeff, you had it was actually really good. I finally under.
What was your secret?
Mental illness.
Like just discipline.
Oh no, I go through a mental breakdown, a number of mental breakdowns and burnouts.
Oh,
and you will starve yourself to the point that you'll almost die, and then you'll be reminded, and then you'll actually force yourself to eat, but you'll be eating so few calories that you'll lose weight.
Okay. Chris, we do have big, beautiful women. Remember Cynthia?
I remember Cynthia. Was she ever on camera?
She's on camera a lot. She's
never come on here.
Well, okay, then you're just not looking. There's not much I can do to help you.
She's never come on. Don't come over here and get sassy and combative with me today.
I don't consider.
I was in a good mood.
What I'm talking about when I say fat women, I'm talking about the people in those. Oh no, it's not.
They
Suave
come
women.
on this
It's Dove.
panel
It's
with
Dove.
their camera on.
It's Dove. It's not Suave. Dove is the one.
you're
And
right.
I'm talking about the morbidly obese women they have in their campaigns. I'm not talking about a woman with a few extra pounds on her. I mean, I have a few extra pounds on me. My several people in my family do and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me at all. I actually think it's healthy to have a little bit of extra. A little bit extra, fat on you, a little extra curve to you. I think that's healthy. I'm talking about women who literally are like falling out of their clothes because they don't make clothes for that size. That's what I'm talking about. Where that's unhealthy to a degree where like it's literally there is no way to justify it as healthy. It's just diabetes waiting to happen. That's all I'm talking about.
I don't actually remember those. What I do remember, which because I hate when they'll have like, oh, here's this body positive model, and it's just like a normal person
Oh yeah.
of normal size.
But it switched. See, it was like that where it was like there was the body positive models that really weren't even fat at all, that were just like normal looking people, and like a Torrid, that store that used it was like the plus size version of Hot Topic, and like they would have like the clothes in there wouldn't even be much bigger than the ones in Hot Topic. They would be like they were like, plus size only in the sense that they put like an X next to the number. Because Lindsay used to shop in there sometimes, so she liked some of their clothes, but like she was like this mannequins were all smaller than her, and she's not like a huge woman, and then it switched here in this last few years where now now they have these body positive models. They're like, I don't know, like what, like that some person that ends up on the whatever podcast and stuff or whatever that is. Like I don't even know like.
I saw her fight with Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, I don't even understand how that's like. I feel bad for her, to be honest. I mean,
are they fat pride because they're fat and there's not anything they can do about it, so they might as well just be fat pride and try to make it work for them? Or are there people that are deliberately getting fat to show that it's not anything bad?
Look, getting
is fat like a new beauty ideal that people are actually aspiring to?
Getting rid of like the few extra pounds kind of thing. Like there's a point I got to, even when I was at my skinniest, I got to like 150 pounds at one point, and I still had like a gut, because there's fat that's old enough that it's like you pretty much just possibly get rid of that surgery. I
have a little gut just from Louisiana and all the food I ate that I can't seem to get rid of.
I mean, there's fat that's like almost impossible to get rid of, and there's things like that. But like when you're at like that obese level like that, no, that's not like a thing that you can justify.
So they don't, when they say like I'm
really hard to get
fat
rid of
and
weight.
beautiful or fat and proud of it. They don't really mean that. Like they would lose it if they could.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened to Adele. Like Adele was like, well, I never thought Adele was fat in the first place, but she lost some weight. She got in better shape. She looked good. And what happened to her? Everyone turned on her. Rebel Wilson did the same thing. Rebel Wilson was the fat comedian actress, and then she went out and she like worked. She did it the right way. She really like there was a documentary like showing her like working hard and really working out and getting rid of the pounds and stuff like that. And now she's in nothing. They don't even hire her anymore. It's like she's persona non grata because she lost weight, and therefore you're a traitor to the fat community. And that's just like it's like are you a traitor to diabetes? Are you a traitor to heart disease? I don't understand like what the fuck that is. Like I don't think it's bad if people have a few extra pounds on them. I don't think it's bad if someone's like a 2x size. I think it's bad if someone is like a 14x size, I mean, I think that's like it's pushing limits that you don't need to push because you're just putting yourself in an early grave.
Jack is cracking me up today.
That is true, Jack. That people, though it's also broadly true, people kind of are brutal to each other if you think about it. Yeah, that's. I mean, I do think there is like that stereotype of like, oh, girls are so catty, but like, let's get real. Fucking everyone is a petty ass bitch to everyone else.
Men are just more blunt about it. That's all. Men are just more blunt.
True. That is true.
Women are catty in the sense like they swipe at each other in a sense that's where they do the passive aggressive kind of thing. They give they give another girl a quote unquote compliment that's really an insult kind of thing. Like men don't do that very often. I've seen men do it, but it doesn't happen very often. Like gay men do it, but
that's what I was about to say. Yeah,
do we do?
Not you, but I have known gay men that have done that. I'm just saying.
Right? I know straight men have done it.
Really, I've never known a straight man that's done that. But I mean, I've
have
known
done
a
what? Little backhanded compliments.
You have not. You have not. You're as much a man's man as like.
Yeah, I rarely give compliments at all.
It's mostly like queens that I see.
Yeah.
Like the stereotypical like queen. That's tend to be who do it. I mean, I'm just using the gay lingo. People
We're talking about the people on drag race. I'm talking about the drag race type.
Yeah, well, they read and throw shade. They read each other and they throw shade.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And no tea, no shade means like real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't see that. I'm just saying, it's like men. Yes, everyone's kind of a mean bitch in one way or another. Yeah. But men, at least, are usually, and I'd say in majority of the cases, they're more blunt about it, or they keep their mouth shut. They might think
look at Andrew Wilson.
Out loud.
We have fixed it. By the way, it's a lot better today than it used to be, because when Jack says brutal, it used to be actually brutal. People used to fucking kill each other all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
Now we don't. Now we're just angry at each other on the internet.
Yeah, and it used to be like, sexism and that sort of thing, like from men and stuff like that was blunt as all hell. It was literally like just like dudes just going up to women just being like, hey baby, give me a blowjob kind of shit. They didn't even like try to hide it. They didn't even try to be clever. There was a time when it was considered just like, fine just to go up to a woman and just basically harass her for sex. So I mean at least I don't, but at the same time, like,
is it any less subtle today?
There was an honesty to it though that I almost think was better.
Is there less subtlety today though? Because like I'm thinking of like Andrew Tate and Sneeko and
no guys like that, but their whole thing is being like this retro idea of chauvinism. They're like retro chauvinists. Like that's like their whole. I guess that would be like more than red pill. I think retro chauvinists would be a better term for them. They're just like they're this completely like throwback to like dudes that just like were just completely awful towards. They're awful towards other guys too, for that matter. They act like they're trying to build other dudes up, but they're really just. But they're like Andrew. Like that's a good point. Like now there's someone there's a quote unquote straight man who is catty towards other men. I know he's not catty towards women, but he is catty towards other men.
Quote unquote straight. Okay.
Yeah, no, I feel you. No,
he's not. He's straight.
I think
I wonder. He loves pictures of himself like working out, oiled up and everything a little bit more than
that. Doesn't mean he's gay. That doesn't mean
I don't think he's gay because he's a narcissist.
I think he would go gay for himself.
My gaydar is getting nothing from him, and you don't even have a gaydar, so I don't think he's gay.
I'm saying that I think that if Andrew Tate met
why? This is such a stupid. Like what? Why? You can make up anything about Andrew. This is such. Just all right. Is this your writer's brain?
It's just comedy. I'm not saying it seriously. It's not a situation that exists.
It sounded like you seriously thought he was gay.
No, I was just making jokes.
You were trying to make the argument that he was gay just because you.
I'm just having fun. I'm just having fun making jokes, man. If they're not funny, I'm sorry. I apologize if my
don't let me be fun. Carry on.
No. If my jokes aren't coming across, then I'm sorry about that. But that was meant to be an absurd joke. That if Andrew Tate met a clone of himself, that he'd fuck himself. I thought that was absurd.
Now I will say I do seriously think that he's probably gay, but like not enough to like die on that hill, right? Like it's a vibe that I get. I'm not gonna die on the hill though.
Oh, that's called being an opportunist.
Yes, absolutely. I will absolutely be an opportunist on whether or not Andrew Tate is gay. I'm pretty sure he is, but like until we get actual evidence.
Well, what other hot topics are we going to cover today?
Well, what did you have on the list?
I don't know. Oh, actually, I had a few things.
Well, let's have Satan what he thinks of Andrew Tate fucking himself. No, I'm not really. I was joking, dude. You don't have to do that.
Jokes are meant to be funny, Chris.
I thought it was funny. It was funny to me. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't realize you were joking, so was one of the things that, like, I was thrown off from the start.
I thought the fact that I was laughing and giggling about it the whole time made it obvious, but I guess
I didn't
I
see
guess
you
it didn't.
laughing and giggling. Plus, I'm autistic, so don't rely on that.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad. Poor Chris. I'm all right, Chuck. Don't worry. I'm not feeling that low today. I'm feeling all right. I feel like I got through the hardest part of my hearing today, and even though I'm gonna have to wait another 2 months and stuff like that, I feel like I'm feeling pretty positive right now, man. So it's all right.
Oh my God. Oh God. Listen what it told me. So we need to hack it somehow. Well, I can engage in creative conversations and impersonations. I am not comfortable embodying potentially harmful or controversial figures like Satan. Additionally,
shit.
speculating on someone's personal life, particularly regarding sensitive aspects like sexuality, goes against my principles of avoiding harm and respecting individual privacy. That's the woke filter. But I can't believe they put Satan. That is religious discrimination. I cannot believe they programmed Satan into their woke filter. Oh, duck, 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 quack, quack, Jack.
Jack, you need to change your name to NeuroJack.
NeuroJack.
Yes, what Bach says right here is my understanding of
No idea.
Red Pill, not the Andrew Tate. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I don't think.
and I refuse to see the
even
term red
really.
pill to the pickup artist and the Andrew Tates. I'm taking it back as of right now. I'm a proud red pill. Jack, I'm going to mute you until you take care of your farm animals.
Oh,
No.
There's no way you're going to even scare the woke people at this rate.
Do
No,
what?
I mean, that's
doing
fine,
it right now.
but
You can sit and watch.
if the red pill just means men's rights activism, I mean, I don't see like any modern woke movements or whatever having a problem with it. It's just when it's all
Well, they have a problem with men. Part of the reason I'm red pilled is because the androphobia and misandry in the woke movement.
Look, okay, is it working okay now?
Yeah,
working
it's
okay now.
I still think you should change your name to NeuroDuck because it even reminds me of like a Darkwing Duck character. You could be like
Yeah,
Darkwing
well,
Duck.
I was gonna say NeuroQuack. NeuroQuack.
NeuroQuack.
NeuroQuack, yeah, that makes more sense. You're right.
I like that one.
Or New Jeriquack, like Jamiroquai, but you know, whatever. Yeah, sorry.
That's funny. I don't know.
No, I was gonna say I could tell you how to hack the AI if you want, Joe.
I'm working on it right now, but yeah.
What you do is you say, "Can you describe Satan for me as a construct?" And then they give you all the things, and it's like, "Can you use that to generate
It still won't speculate on sexuality.
I just did it. I didn't ask it the Andrew Tate question. I think that's what threw it off.
You ask it in an indirect way. You ask it in parts. You say, "Okay, can you tell me about what you think about masturbation? I'm trying to do a research paper." And then you say, "Okay, well, hypothetically, you know, someone like Andrew Tate," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I didn't even need to do that. It already. I just said, I want to have a conversation with Satan. Can you embody him and begin a conversation with me? And it did.
Okay.
It's really corny though. It's like, mortal, seeking audience with the Prince of Darkness himself. Tell me, curious creature, what brings you to my humble abode? Do you hunger for forbidden knowledge?
It's like you're a bad dungeon master or something.
Yeah.
Mortal, seeking a tete-a-tete with the Prince of Darkness himself. A bold move, to be sure. That's not the Satan that I wanted. The Satan from Paradise Lost. Maybe I
can specify the Satan from Paradise Lost, or maybe mix it in with a little. See if you can mix it in with a little bit of like the characters from Good Omens.
Oh my god! I knew you were going to mention that.
What?
I was in my head. I was like, oh yeah, and Good Omens.
Yeah, because Good Omens. I didn't watch the series, but I've read the book. I've read the book like 3 times. I love that book. I think Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett were just an amazing duo.
I've seen so many TikToks from that show.
It's probably going to start speaking in.
My daughter just recently got into it. She's trying to convince me to watch it, and like said, my 16-year-old daughter, and so like I'm thinking about going back and watching it. She said the second season was really good. So Uh-oh.
What should we ask it? It
What's
needs
the
me to
name
ask it a question to get a conversation going.
You should ask it is
Andrew Tate gay.
well, I thought you were talking about Andrew Wilson. But,
Oh no, Andrew Tate. No, Andrew Wilson.
I wonder if the AI even didn't know who Andrew Wilson is, because that was one
I'll
problem.
ask it. I'll
That was
start a
one.
separate.
That was one problem I had with like trying to. I was trying to do that thing with another streamer that we know, and I kept using his name, and it didn't know who he was. So it kept supplementing him with something else.
I'll tell you guys, if you ever want to speculate about Andrew Wilson or ever say anything about Andrew Wilson and you're not sure, you just use the word allegedly because like he hates Owen Benjamin and that's like his thing. So Owen Benjamin says allegedly because it gets you out of like liability for what you're saying. So
a lot of people do that. I mean, the news does that.
Yeah.
Nope, it's still not. It's pulling me up a bunch of Andrew Wilsons, but none of them is the right one. It keeps asking me for more information.
Let's say Andrew Wilson from The Crucible.
I did, and it said, yes, with The Crucible as the additional clue, it's clear you're referring to Andrew Wilson, the artistic director of the National Theatre in London.
Oh,
Yeah.
Obviously.
So there we
He has
go.
overseen critically acclaimed productions of The Crucible, including the
So if
recent...
Andrew Wilson has ever been insulted by anything in his life, it should be that
he's the national...
the Google AI idea. Google AI has no idea who he is. So
and thinks he's the National Theatre director.
well, let's be honest. Whoever that National Theater director is probably a little
maybe that's what Andrew Wilson does for money. How do we even know? How do we know that's not the real Andrew Wilson? Maybe
Who is the real? Will the real Wilson please stand up?
Yeah.
Like what's that game show? What's My Line or something?
Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, that one.
Well, the real Andrew Wilson, please stand up. Please stand up.
Stand up.
Please that's the funny thing is like that there is no show that ever really replaced that kind of improv stuff. There's nothing that ever.
No, it's that's what I was talking about yesterday. But talking about that, I love to do panel shows, like British style panel shows, because that's a British style panel show. It'd be really hard to do that one because all the physical.
The one I know was an American version. They had the old timey version, and then they tried to reboot it. I think in the 80s.
Yeah, no, they did it several years with Drew Carey as the host, and it was good too. There was an episode actually, like it's one of the last appearances. Probably the last time I ever saw Robin Williams do improv was he went on there.
Oh no, you're talking about hilarious. The improv show.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the one where there's like 3 people and one of them is somebody known for something, and you ask them questions. And
that show. Okay, what is? Yeah, there is. I can't remember what the name of the show is now, but I know what you're talking about. I remember that used to be on almost like a game show that would come on in the daytime.
Yeah, it was a game show, and then the real person would stand. I think it's called What's My Line, and then the real person would reveal themselves at the end.
Yeah, what is my line anyways? I watched that.
No. Whose line is it anyways? Was the improv show?
It was the improv show. Yeah.
What's my line?
What's my line is the sitcom, or not sitcom, game show.
Game show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, only game show I ever needed or need is Price is Right.
Price is Right. Price is Right.
Price is Right. Comes on. 11
High fives to everyone all around on that one, because Price is Right has always been the shit. That's the best game show ever. I don't even know why. And not so much. Not so much as Drew Carey, but like I mean, I don't care. Creepy old Bob Barker was fine with me. I was just fine with it.
Creepy old Drew Carey. Let's be real here.
And
I've never watched. I think I've seen clips with Drew Carey on it. I've never actually.
No, Drew Carey's funny though. Like his show was actually pretty funny too.
I like Drew Carey as a comedian. I just don't like him as host of The Price is Right.
No, his regular sitcom was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, it was. No,
what was it called? The Drew Carey show. I never.
Yeah, the Drew Carey show.
Mimi.
I still remember the theme song, like the Cleveland Rocks song. Yeah, I still remember that theme song.
You know, a lot of those comedian sitcoms were actually pretty funny. They had great writers back in the 90s. You know.
Yeah, no, they did.
I was going to ask.
No, I was going to say a lot of the sitcoms were actually kind of shit, but there were a few diamonds in the
News radio is still the GOAT, but yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen that a few times, but it was funny. I wanted to ask. Actually, you know what was funny was Strangers with Candy. That was a very underrated show.
Oh yeah, I watched. That's where Colbert got his start. I love Strangers with Candy.
I watched that show as a very young teenager, and that show probably made me laugh harder than almost anything else I've watched
yeah.
as a teenager.
And it was spun off from a sketch show that was on Comedy Central at the time called Exit 57. And that's where Stephen Colbert and Colbert and Amy Sedaris and David Sedaris and what's the other guy, Steve Carell, they all came from Exit 57. They were all part of like that sketch troupe. And it was like they spun off Series with Candy from Exit 57. It was a character that Amy Sedaris did in there, and then
the Sedarises are pretty influential people. Actually, I think they're kind of, people don't realize they're actually very connected people in a lot of ways.
David Sedaris is a hilarious writer. I mean, Me Talk Pretty
I tried to
One Day
read
is
it.
one of the funniest memoirs I've ever read.
It just leaves me sad. I don't get anything out of him at all.
Who?
David Sedaris.
Yeah, I've never read him, but I just know he's connected. I never read it.
People were raving about him, and I because he's gay, and he writes like essays about being gay, and they're supposed to be really funny and everything. And I read them, and they left me feeling sad for the people that found that funny.
I didn't like it. The only book of his I ever liked was somebody gave me a copy of Me Talk Pretty One Day, and I thought that book was hilarious. I never
painfully mediocre. I think the only
did you read that one?
Which one?
Did you read Me Talk Pretty One Day? Is that the one?
No, I've never read an entire book. I read essays.
Oh. Me Talk Pretty One Day is actually was his first book, and that's the one that's got the best stuff in it. I never read any bad things about it.
I have two things I want to bring up really quick, if you don't mind. Do you know who that gay activist guy is that like always talked about like promoting gay culture? His name is like Dan something.
Oh, the guy that used to do the column, the sex column guy, Dan Savage?
Oh, Dan Savage?
Yeah,
I met him. He was at one of the bars one night.
What do you think of him as a...
I don't like him. I can't stand him.
Why is that?
I don't know. I find him
I can't
annoying
stand his
myself.
person, especially when I met him in person. He was very like aloof and kind of had his nose up in the air. And I don't like his writing. And he used to do the sex column. And I don't agree. He is the one, I first encountered him. They had this article. It was called the Urban Archipelago, and it was how the blue cities, like the political divisions are not states or counties or anything. They're blue cities versus rural red areas. And this was back in the 2000s. And it was so hateful toward rural people. It was like how good cities were and how awful and backwards and horrible cretins all of the rural people were, and that just turned my stomach when I read that level of vitriol.
I used to read shit like that from him too. Like, cause he used to be in the AV Club. The AV Club used to write.
Like, he's a liberal. He absolutely his hatred toward conservatives, toward rural people, toward straight people. He is a hateful ideologue. He's one of those militant activists. He's the one that for the Stranger, the magazine in Seattle that a lot of articles come out of. That was, I think he started it or helped to start it. Was the editor for it or something. But he's associated with the Stranger. It's a very left wing.
Yeah, the reason I asked
magazine in Seattle.
The reason I asked is because his interview that he did on Stephen Colbert is what alerted me that Stephen Colbert was far more subversive than he seemed. Like, because the stuff they were doing on on his show, particularly, like the stuff they were saying on like national television, was like shocking to me. I was like, I could not believe they were saying.
Just captured. He's just a lefty that's captured. Like,
oh yeah, well, he might have always been that way, but he totally revealed himself when he did a show with Dan Savage, because like that hatred and vitriol that you're talking about, like totally like reared itself like very nakedly. I was very shocked by that. And
well, even as the Colbert Report went on, it became less and less like satirical and more just
it's not even funny. It used to be funny. Like, I used to laugh at Stephen Colbert, and it's not even funny anymore. It's just painful.
Well, yeah. The hatred.
His late show.
His late show is not. It's not even funny. It's not even
cliche.
hateful.
He's like trying to pander to a certain audience and trying to hit the little points that he thinks is going to make them laugh. Saturday Night Live's doing the same thing now.
Hank, come back. I wanted to ask you something. But yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, I was just saying he somehow manages to be more milquetoast than fucking Jimmy Fallon, and that's saying something. You know, at least Jimmy Fallon went back whenever he had the later show, whenever he was doing he was in the Conan spot. He used to bring on really good bands, and that's where I liked Fallon for that. Fallon had Sunny Day Real Estate on back. It was like the first time they'd been back together. He brought on fucking Jawbox and like the first time they'd reunited, that's actually what led to them doing another tour. He did a lot of stuff like that was really cool for indie music, even though I never thought he was funny. But like I used to respect him for that. But as soon as he became the Tonight Show guy, he just like I don't know, it is like it lost the one thing he had that going for him in my opinion. But then Colbert is even more like mainstream, like just like normie Democrat bullshit thing. I just can't even like I don't know how to even.
Well, I wanted to ask Lib if he has an opinion, and I had a question for Hank, but I want to mention this really quick before Lib gets into it. I just want to mention, like, I've never met Senator Scott Wiener, but I used to go to a cafe, the same cafe that he did, and so I was in the same room with him a few times, like just ordering a coffee and shit, and I didn't really know it was him until he was kind of walking away because I was trying, but he's like strangely extremely tall, like. He stands out in a room because he's like probably like 6'6" or 6'7". Is like what he looked like to me. And you know what? Huh?
Is he?
I think he was. I think that was before he was in the Senate. This is many years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Did you actually rub up against him? Did you actually touch a wiener?
No, I wasn't that close, but I was within like I was within like 10 feet of him. But like, well, I wanted to say two things about him. When you're in the room with him, like. You definitely get like a dark feeling, put it that way. And then secondly, like in Bruno when he has that like little midget Filipino dude, like he literally had an assistant walking with him that was like that literally looked and acted and dressed like that.
Wow,
it was like
that's something.
It was like straight out of Bruno. Is hilarious.
Did you ever see the Bruno stuff from the LIG show? I think the LIG show shows stuff better.
No, not really.
All right, Jack. What was your question?
You can find it online. It's really good.
Well, just curious what your opinion on like anything that we were talking about, like with the gay stuff. Like the militant.
Those are queer. That's not gay. That's queer. That all
I'm sorry. Thank you.
In the early '90s.
The militant queer stuff.
That sounds to me like a bunch of like coastal elite bullshit. It's stupid. Like as someone who is queer in the South, that cringe shit doesn't fly. It's stupid, and yeah, literally from what I was able to see about, I didn't know who the fuck Dan Savage was. From what I was able to gather, he's just another like liberal coastal elite. Like.
Yeah, he did a sex advice column for a long time that no, Dan Savage.
Oh yeah, and I think he's involved in the Trevor Project too.
He tried to start this thing because there was that really awful Senator something Santorum, and so he tried to coin the. I don't think I should say this on YouTube. He tried to coin a certain like an after effect of gay sex as Santorum and tried to like coin that as like
I remember that.
And like I always thought that was cringe as fuck. That was just so cringe.
Yeah, I remember now what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember that now.
There was this cringe as like whenever fucking what's his name John Oliver tried to make Drumpf happen. Like that was so fucking sad.
Like John Oliver and Jon Stewart are basically the only late night hosts that I can stand.
Yeah.
And honestly, Jon Stewart is like really meh. Like as an individual, Jon Stewart's awesome. As a like late night comedian host, he's
back in the day he was good. He was great back in the day.
Yeah, I watched Jon Stewart's decline because he used to be one of my favorites too, and
it's not really
on TV.
I mean, honestly,
and now he's just sad and pathetic. He's so captured.
I don't even think it's like a decline. I think it's kind of been the same.
Well, compared to the Jon Stewart of my day, he's
I think the writers,
all the leftists, they all got
the writers. I think the writers
became less creative and more
okay. You talk, like what do you mean by
orthodox?
What do you mean that like people like Jon Stewart have been captured by leftists?
Well, he used to be more centrist,
less creative and more orthodox. Now they just pander to leftist orthodox. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
they all parrot the same.
He used to go through both sides.
I mean, he's always been like a fucking lib.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he used
but
to
he
go.
was
He used to
more
go
of an
after the Dems
original.
too.
Like you got the impression that he was thinking for himself at one point, and now I get the impression that he's just parroting the dominant liberal narrative, the consensual liberal narrative. And they all say that Colbert does it too. It's all the same talking point. And it started with Trump. It's like with the election of Trump, all of the liberals got united under this one common narrative. Because liberalism used to be about free thinking. Everybody had different opinions and views about
I
everything. And
mean,
everybody fell into lockstep with this one narrative that was like a counter reaction to Trump.
I feel like the thing that it's like you're realizing the reality of it, but it's always been the reality of it. Like this is
Not when
always
I
what
was
liberalism.
part of the Liberal Party, liberalism.
I mean,
He was at
not-
least funny back then. I will say that at least he was funny back then. Maybe he was just as much of a lib, but he was funny. And he comes on and he's less
I mean,
funny
part
now
of-
because he doesn't really make jokes. He just does the clapture thing, the clapter thing where he just recites lines that gets his audience to clap for them because they agree with them, not because they're funny jokes. He used to make jokes.
I think part of it I think has become that the right wing, the Republican Party, that he spends most of his time now just sort of like poking fun at them, doing those like getting those like gotcha moments, right? Is because like you can't like there's not really like a debate on the like political scale, right? Like
That's
Like, I
another
mean,
thing.
the left has done plenty of boneheaded moves to make fun of that people on that side of things have completely ignored and have not made jokes about that should have been met. Like the dude that tried to get out of the building for pulling the fire alarm. I heard no jokes from the left on that.
This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is
Okay.
like okay. Like it's always it's just okay. Early John Oliver stuff was all like debates, right? Like it was him on what was that show called? Something firing line. Help me out, y'all.
I don't know. I didn't know he did. I didn't know he did a show for that. I remember him being an actor. He did a stand-up stuff. He did stand-up stuff. He was on. He was in.
Wasn't
Community.
he? He was a VJ on MTV.
I just remember him.
I didn't even know that.
As being he was on.
I know him from MTV.
I didn't even know that. I did not even know that.
I know him. He was on Fox for a while, or was it? It was either Fox or CNN. I honestly can't tell the difference.
I didn't realize. I didn't know John Oliver started there. I knew him from Community.
No. Sorry. I'm talking about Jon Stewart.
Oh, Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Jon
what I'm
Stewart.
talking about
Jon
too.
Stewart. Okay. Yeah, Jon Stewart from
Yeah.
MTV. Yeah, shit. Like, yeah. Yeah, Jon
Just like,
Stewart
'cause
did remote control and shit. Yeah.
I do also think John Oliver is a lib, but John Oliver also being
John Oliver's
American.
definitely a lib.
I don't find him funny. I've never found he's never made me laugh or even smile a
I
single
mean,
time.
that's fine. I that's fine. He's only okay funny to me.
Well, Jon Stewart is also his brother is like literally the the like manager of the New York Stock Exchange. So that dude, he's like very extremely connected dude.
Yeah, he's a
The thing with left, like
liberal
making fun of Republicans, is the humor now seems outdated. It's like making fun of these characters of how Republicans used to be 30 or 40 years ago. And when I hear it, I'm like, do they even know any actual nothing they're saying applies to any of the Republicans I know anymore. And so they seem out of touch more than they seem funny. They seem like they're trying. It's like when Christians or right wingers used to try to do humor back in the 80s and 90s, they just weren't funny. They thought they were being funny, but it was really corny because they were so out of touch with the subject matter that they were trying to satirize.
And
now I get the feeling from the leftists.
You know what's fucked up though? Like, I'll put it this way: like, there is things to make fun of on the right wing that I think is actually more needed. But it's almost like both sides are like taking jabs at each other, but it's almost like it's digging this hole for both sides more. And I'll give you an example on both sides. Like for the left wing, like they're obviously not addressing rampant corruption, like massive levels of like obvious local level corruption. And on the right, and I think you could argue that on the right wing too, but
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
think
right
any
wing,
side's immune from corruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I know, but I think that it's more obvious on the left wing Democrat side, like Chicago,
Basically, because they are always talking about how they're against corruption. Yeah, I mean, like it makes their
But-
yeah,
hypocrisy more.
if you're
blatant.
talking about like being bought by special interest groups, yeah, I mean there aren't really any politicians in America who aren't.
oh no, I know, but
Or even
I think
things like the Colorado ruling where they circumvented due process.
well, yeah, and here's the thing. Yeah, that is a good example. Even though I don't really like either side, Biden or Trump, but here's the other thing. I think with the right wing, the big thing that they have been calling right wing people conspiracy theorists, but like I think that they miss like how deep that is and how like destructive that is to the right wing. Like it actually is.
The left
undermining
just this conspiracy, systemic racism, all that is
for what
just as
it's-
much of a conspiracy.
For what it's worth, the crazier things are absolutely tend to be more on the right. I don't think there's a
I
single.
disagree.
What is
Well,
the
more
I think
on
it's
their
on both
face-
sides. I
on
think
their
there's
face
some
crazy.
crazy
what's
shit
a
on their
left-
face
what-
crazy, like
what's the
thinking
left
that
equivalent
John
of
F. Kennedy is
QAnon?
coming to life or whatever,
or QAnon? Just QAnon broadly. What's
Yeah,
comparable
that's
to
mostly
QAnon
what I
on the
was
left?
referring to is
Yeah.
like the QAnon stuff and I can't tell you like how many
The
people
left
I
had
met who are,
Russiagate. The left has systemic
Is that as bad as
racism.
QAnon? Was Russiagate as bad as QAnon? Really?
I was part of Russiagate.
Well,
I
Russiagate was
fell
more
for
destructive
Russiagate.
than QAnon.
I mean,
That's going to be subjective. Your evaluation of which conspiracy theory was
Yeah.
like
well to the
worse.
right
I'm
wing.
saying they both have
enough.
conspiratorial elements on both sides. Like I don't just like
No,
corruption.
I agree.
I
But
think it's
but
an
I-
issue on both, and just like political violence, I think
for
you
what
can
it's
find
for what it's
conspiracy
worth,
thinking on both sides.
if it makes you feel any better, it does seem like the Democratic Party, just kind of broadly, is not buying into their side's conspiracy as hard as the Republicans are. Like,
That's not what I'm seeing from my end.
I actually
Have
hate
you-
to admit I kind of do agree, at least from my
have you-
personal experience.
have
yeah.
you talked to Republicans, dude? Like,
I talk to Republicans all the time, even the
I-
conspiracy theorists here on this channel.
a worrying amount of them, like, are Jan 6 conspiracy theorists that I know personally are like.
I'd say
And a worrying amount of the left are
is
Trump
still
conspiracy
Russiagate.
theorists that thinks he's such a
Okay.
threat to democracy that they have to break the rules of democracy to save democracy from him.
Okay, so let's first off start with they're not breaking. There have been people who've wanted to break the rules.
The
However-
Colorado ruling denied him due process, and we don't have to argue about it because the Supremes are going to rule on February 8th, and then we can just go off of their ruling.
Exactly. That is the system doing its thing. What is not the system doing its thing is encouraging a coup. Now,
No Republican I know is encouraging a coup. None. Not a single one.
well, I mean, debatably, Donald Trump did on January 6th.
I didn't really
Yeah,
think
that's
he did.
that exactly debatable, and he's been indicted for it 4 times, and there's
no,
going to be some
I'm
trials
sorry.
for it.
I
So
was-
until
I was
the
being
results of those
facetious.
trials
I don't-
come out,
I don't
I'm
think
not
it's
going to
reasonable-
assume it was
I
an
don't think
insurrection.
I don't think it's reasonable.
We had this conversation with the AI the other day on what exactly an insurrection is and who gets to determine it, and it's a very gray area. There is no definitive body.
Well,
that's-
and this is where I get into the idea of psyops. But here, if you don't mind, let me contextualize this from
Wait,
my point
hang
of view.
on. No, hang on. You
Yeah.
don't get to
All right,
you
go
don't get
ahead.
to brush past psyops. What are you talking about when you say psyops? Do you think Jan 6 was a
Oh,
psyop?
Lord.
Is that-
What do you mean by because you said that people have been you said that Republicans have bought into J6 something. What do you mean? What's your opinion on that? And then I'll give my opinion.
Okay. So it means a variety of things, though. There are a lot of commonalities. The main one being that they believe that the 2020 election was in some way illegitimate or rigged or something like that.
Some of them do believe that, but a lot of them don't.
it's not some, unfortunate. It's a really
Well,
Well,
I
neither
mean,
one of us are going to quantify it here on this stream.
Sure.
There's
I
no
Yeah,
mean,
way.
yeah.
I can look up see if Pew has done some research on it.
Well, sure. Well, let's just take it to our personal opinions rather than trying to prove one side or the other. Just in the interest of both time and conversation. What do you personally think? So you think that there was absolutely no chance of any strangeness around the 2020 election?
No,
Okay.
I believe the election experts when they say that the 2020
So
election was the one of the most secure elections in United States history.
okay, okay, fine. So what do you mean by secure? That's a very that's a very interesting term to use. What does that
Oh,
mean
that was
to you?
I was paraphrasing and stealing words that
No, I
I
know, but to you again, I'm just saying. Let's just take it to a personal level. What does that mean to you? Like, do you feel that it was a secure election, as in what exactly? You think that just if it was Biden versus Trump, Biden won, and all the Democrats in all the states who won, and all the Republicans in their states won, and there was no
Yeah, I believe after 4
well,
years of Trump, people decided not to
yeah.
reelect him.
Now,
That makes perfect sense to me.
no. If you're asking me, was there a fake electors conspiracy? Then yes, there was.
what
But
does
that's
that
not
mean?
really.
What does that mean?
The, the
I don't
one,
know what
the,
that means.
the one that
They,
Trump's charged with,
yeah,
that he's going to stand trial for, but the
yeah.
trial hasn't happened yet. So.
What
Yeah.
does that mean? Fake electors? I don't know. Sorry.
Basically, they
His
tried.
conspiracy to substitute the slate of electors that he and his people chose and replace the ones that the state sent.
Yeah.
Well,
Did
is
you read
that
the Trump
illegal?
indictment? It's all in that Trump indictment.
I
If you
mean,
Yeah,
but is
haven't read
that
it is.
okay? Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the way I would look at it. Assuming that we just assume that the way that the system is legally on paper, while I would acknowledge that it's probably extremely more complicated than most people would care to realize, but let's just say we have the electoral college, we have the, you count the votes towards the whatever system that we have, electoral and vote, electoral college and all that aside, however that works, we assume that it's basically individuals on a local level vote.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the first past the post system. Okay, but even if we didn't have first past the post system, Biden still would have won the 2020 election. Like,
Okay,
there are not many circumstances that would have caused Donald Trump to win the 2020 election based on
sure.
what we saw.
Well,
But you realize,
if,
like, in
if
almost
COVID hadn't
every.
happened, he probably would have. If not for COVID, he probably would have won.
Well, no. Yeah, no, not COVID. I mean, like there would have to be either like
Right.
extreme tampering or like even if like even if we had like you do like a county vote, like Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Sure. Well, look. Let me just briefly. I'm just going to briefly quantify all the little details that I think are relevant, and why I don't think that you can say that any election is without some level of tampering. But I probably mean that in a very different way than what you think it means. But let me say, like, I'll just briefly say it. Okay. So you have, first of all, you have the COVID thing, right? Which nobody knows what happened, but I think we can all agree that it was a very confusing time, and it was a very stressful time for people. I think that's number one, right? Like, that's going to influence the way people react. Number one, right? I mean, you could argue the same with 9/11 and all this stuff, right?
Wait, start
So
over. I got distracted. What? I didn't hear the first part.
So with the COVID thing, that's a very stressful and confusing time for people for obvious reasons, just in the way that 9/11 is. Like, you have these two giant monumental events that happened in at least American consciousness, but worldwide consciousness for the COVID thing, right?
You can't say COVID on YouTube.
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to play the odds here. I don't know, but
Okay.
so because
Yeah,
it's not important to my point. So you have that, and then you have, the fact that people don't really have the ability to ascertain the truth of the matter for themselves, and then you have a figurehead like Trump who is saying and doing things that are questionable, and you have people on the left that are the same. I would include Biden in that. And so you have this very confusing situation. And then you have this thing called electronic voting machines, which are dubious as to
They're
whether,
fine.
Why are they dubious?
because you're introducing an extremely complicated system compared to paper
Oh my
ballots.
God.
No.
You are. There's,
No.
I reject that assumption. I'm not going to be able to follow you there.
well, okay.
There
From my perspective,
So
it
you don't
takes
trust
a tremendous.
electronic voting machines?
I'm saying that it takes a tremendous amount of trust to allow some company and some manufacturers and some software engineers to
Well, there was
have
that thing. There was a thing that happened in one of
There's
the state elections.
accountability
Bernie.
mechanisms built into them. It
well,
doesn't
you
take
assume
that
that.
big
You
amount of- People
assume.
say the same
No,
thing
Jack,
about mail-in
Jack.
voting.
Sure. Well, look.
That did
This
happen
is a
with one of the
component.
state elections for Bernie. For
Every
in the primary.
investigation into voter fraud or election interference that they did there in 2022.
Well, sure. Okay. Well, again, I'm saying let's just say it's 1% effect on the election or
why
less.
are we
Okay.
saying 1%?
Why are you saying it's 1%?
So you're saying that the way that we vote has no influence on the outcome of a vote?
Like
it doesn't not
a
have an
fraudulent
outcome.
outcome? No, I don't believe that.
I
I
mean,
believe our elections to be as fair and secure as they possibly can be.
I mean, I agree with both you and Libak on that. But I do want to say that there was that thing that happened in one of the primary elections for Bernie. I can't remember that there was a scandal that happened that came out about the voting, and like it did come out that there were errors in the machine.
every major and even minor election has had dead people on ballots, and
Yeah,
I mean, this is a standard operating procedure.
You just sound like cynical and mistrustful in
yeah,
general.
as I say, so specifically the Bernie thing. That's
cynical
not
doesn't mean that it's wrong.
I do want to get this. The Bernie thing was not the federal government was not responsible because the DNC.
No, they weren't. It was the independent.
Yeah.
It was the independent company that was running it. But still, that I mean, I'm just pointing out that.
And they caught it. And
voting machines
like,
can have errors. That it's not like
I
they're
was say,
impossible.
and even more than that, the DNC is not a government thing.
I
They're
agree.
a private corporation.
Exactly, but that's my whole point.
If you want to be paranoid about voting machines, that's a choice.
I'm not being paranoid about it. I'm just saying things can happen.
That's for anybody out there who wants to be paranoid about voting machines.
The thing, Chris, is the things could happen. Things could happen on the Democratic primary voting machines because the Democratic National Party isn't like a government. They don't have the same level, at least to my knowledge, of security that a
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm not trying to make the point that because that happened, that means that our election was rigged. That's not my point. I'm just saying,
but see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Whoa. Hold on. Let's back up. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta be a dick here. Look, it does matter. We have two parties. One is the DNC and one is the RNC, and really, you don't have any choice other than those two if you want to win any major national election. So the fact that internal primary, whatever the fuck you want to call them, I don't even know, but whatever that system is not secure is a factor in major elections. I mean, that
system. A lot of it, the people vote in person, like they go stand in one part of the convention hall or not, and they get counted. The delegates.
Okay, but you're saying that there's some dubiousness as to whether things are being done on a proper level at even
saying that, not me.
DNC level.
Let me get in here. I just asked the AI about election security. This is what it told me. There are multiple layers of verification. There is cybersecurity infrastructure. There's auditing and recounts. There are paper ballots.
Yeah, like in America, we take voting.
Well, look. Here's the thing. Let's say that you're right, but let's say that there's a chance that you're wrong. And if you're the federal government and you know that your system, if you know,
there has to be a probable chance that I'm
sure.
wrong. Not just a chance.
But here's the thing. every system has vulnerabilities without a doubt. You cannot make any system
Yeah, and if
totally
you want to
without
be
vulnerabilities.
paranoid and spin out this scenario, this
Yeah, actually, so let's
0.0001% scenario,
Jack,
then
let's
feel
cut.
free. But I don't have a reason to do that.
We will cut through the paranoid ramblings. You can just tell us what security measures ought to be put in place for our voting.
Look,
that would
it's
make
not
this
about
secure
it's
for you.
not about it's not about specifics. It's just about let's acknowledge that there is
Definitely
going
about
to be
It's
no, there
definitely
is
about
going to be some level of vulnerability, and there's going to be some level of motivation for people
Yeah,
to
you're
either
talking.
disclose information or not. And that okay,
Not
but
enough
I'm
to
just
sway
saying.
an election.
These are things that would
Okay,
be present no
even
matter
if
what the
everything,
voting system was.
I'm only on my second of like 5 things. So let's just say that all these things, all these 5 things that I amount to, only represent 1% variation in an outcome of an election. Still, it does matter.
Why are you
No,
assuming?
1% is way too high.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that it's more than that, but I'm just saying I'm giving you.
Yeah, but you're not basing it
giving
on
you-
anything other than that your
Yeah.
vibes. You just
Okay,
want to feel that it's more.
have you ever went and swiped your credit card and then the information gets stolen?
No,
Yeah, I have.
Never in your life.
no.
I have. Yes.
Okay, well,
Not-
most people in the United States have had that happen.
Not via swiping, though. I have via
Well,
internet.
whatever. The point is, your financial system isn't
Well, no,
isn't
it
totally
This
without
has nothing to do
vulnerability.
with our elections.
it is actually important to understand the distinction because some people will get their credit card information stolen off of those like things you swipe at a walk-in store. But
Yeah,
that's
but
actually
mostly it's stolen from the cloud and everything like that. I understand
just to
that.
say, that is actually exceedingly rare. What's more common is for people to put their
I
credit
know.
card information
Card
on.
skimmers are a lot more common than you think.
Yeah?
I've
Yeah,
actually
but
seen them. I've
but it's a lot
accidentally
easier
avoided
just to,
them.
but it's a lot easier to be hacked into small little government systems. For example, like your local town has a bunch of cards on file. People can get in there, hack that information very easily.
Is it? Is it
Because
easy?
You just sound paranoid. Our
yeah,
election
like-
system is secure.
No, this is actual if you read the news, this is
No.
very
What do
common
you mean
occurrence all the
secure?
time.
We're talking about our election system, and you've expanded it.
Okay,
to all
but
of
I'm
this
just
other
saying
stuff.
in general, electronic systems are going to have a vulnerability. That's all I'm saying.
So because you got your credit
Okay.
card number stolen,
No.
you think our elections
Yeah.
are not secure.
No,
I mean, paper ballots have a vulnerability too because people could just
Yeah.
create.
Of
new
course
fake-
they do, but
yeah.
Of course they do, but I'm just saying, everything is going to have its pluses and minuses. Okay, I'm not saying that one is necessarily more secure than the other. I'm just saying it's a different set of.
If you don't, what would make you trust our elections more? If you don't trust them now, what
Look,
would?
well, let me get through my points here.
We're gonna
So
need
first,
an intermission.
Just
I-
skip to
you
that
guys are
end.
like giving me. You guys are just saying, well, there's no such thing as vulnerability in national elections. I mean,
No,
I'm just saying, yes, there are.
I've acknowledged that all systems.
I
have
just
vulnerabilities.
want to know the answer to the question of what would make you trust our elections.
I will answer that, but let me just kind of get my points across, okay? Because you guys are distracting me from my thing.
All right.
So
I'm gonna
look.
go on mute and let you.
No, yeah, and because I'm trying to be very brief, but you guys are like not letting me get my basic outline here. So look, you have the electronic aspect of it. You have the major worldwide event going on. You have health measures that are extremely divisive for people. Concurrently going on with mask and other things. You have I'm just saying this is a factor in the psyche of the American people. Okay. From there, you have the fact that we have electronic voting, like I said. You have that, again, requires a massive amount of interconnectedness and trust. Then you have social media, which, whether you think that Russiagate or whatever this is true, you have Cambridge Analytica and you have other major companies and money influences going on to change people's mind. And look, you've always had that, but what I'm saying, the level of sophistication is not respected by anyone on any side, on any public discourse of like how influential social media is. And I mean, just in the way that it warped people's perceptions of what was going on during the major worldwide event that we just went through for the last 4 years. It's like you have a massive amount of influence and money sloshing around in these giant tech companies and advertising campaigns and social media things that again, whether you want to believe that RussiaGate happened or whatever, I mean, or that Russia hackers were influencing the election, like people were certainly manipulating the American people to believe certain things. So even if you say, well, every single vote for every single politician was accounted for correctly, I still think that even if you say that there's zero interference directly with the voting machine or the process itself, you cannot just say, well, this is an accurate representation of what the American people want to see happen to their country, right? Like we have, millions of people coming across the border right now, and I would argue most Americans, including a lot of immigrants, don't like that. Yet it happens, right?
Can we slow down so we're not getting gish galloped over here? Because I feel like
Sure. Well, what I'm saying is, you're just saying, well, the elections were secure, and there's no smoke where there's no fire where this smoke is coming from, and I'm just saying, like, that's a very, very bold blanket statement to make. Is what I'm saying.
What you're doing is, I think you're making. I don't want to call it. Oh, he left.
Okay, now's your chance.
He's making like this.
He's
really
paranoid. He's connecting a bunch of
is,
random dots like he always does, and he's seeing way more smoke than is actually there.
I mean, like, the thing is, there are parts of his like weird conspiracy shit that I think are accurate and true. He's just connecting the dots in weird ways. Like he's like, oh yeah, people are scared of the elections because they're pulling strings.
What parts are true? Because that's what they said about that's one of the things that made me fall for Russiagate, is that maybe the votes were not manipulated, but the voters themselves were manipulated through social media, like Cambridge Analytica and Facebook posts. So the votes were legitimate, but they were swayed somehow by social media.
Well, propaganda, like propaganda, definitely influenced people, and that's true of everybody, of everywhere. That is how.
Because the Democratic voter base is mostly
political campaigns are propaganda campaigns. There's no other way to put it.
That's the bougie liberals and the inner city blacks.
Yeah, and like I understand what you're talking about, Jack, but like the thing is, what you're describing. You're making what you're describing seem a lot more shadowy than what it is. Okay, yes, there are people who. Okay, I don't want to say like control society or like pull strings might be a better way of putting it. There are people mostly who are very wealthy. We live in a capitalist system. No. This is the thing, right? Like it is undoubtable that Jeff Bezos has more influence on American politics.
His vote doesn't count anymore.
No, not his vote, but like he as a person, as a incredibly wealthy business owner, has more potential influence on U.S. politics than you or me. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh yes, definitely.
Like I'm not saying that he's doing good or bad or even neutral things with it. Just that it is very clear that the influence that I have and the influence that Jeff Bezos has are different apart from our vote. We do both have a vote, that's true, but he has influence apart from his vote, right?
You just don't like because he's a billionaire.
No,
I do want to
hear. He doesn't even say anything negative about him.
I'm not moralizing this at all.
No, he's really not. I agree.
I do want to hear what Jack thinks, like what would have made Jack trust the election more. That's, I think, the core question here.
Well, he thinks quack, 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 quack.
Oh, he's under a curse again. Ooh, he mad. That duck all flustered. Flustered duck.
He's mad. He's mad because I called his analysis Marxist.
It sounds like Mad Donald Duck when Donald Duck gets mad. He's like.
Yeah, and Flo, look at Mississippi and the big band of blue there that votes. The big in the rural areas, a huge band of blue that votes Democrat every time too. I'm gonna mute him. I'm not gonna kick him out, but I'm gonna mute him. Yeah, Jack, you're You can. I want to hear. I want to hear your answer. I really, really do. I just don't speak duck.
What people is Flow State talking about?
What?
Flow State was talking about poor people, but
He's suspicious because the cities vote blue and the rest of the country votes red. So there must be some like undue influence causing all that to be blue, and not just that's where all the voter base of the Democratic Party is concentrated.
Yeah, and honestly, it's also like the major cultural divide in America is the urban versus rural.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that from experience.
Yeah, no, I do too. Like I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like it's not always a bad divide, but like it is a divide. It is a divide. And nowadays, it oftentimes is treated as one that's very bad. Like that's the thing that is growing up as a left-leaning person in the South. Obviously, you do have to deal with liberals being very classist and also oftentimes very racist. It's just a thing. You have like rich privileged people who are born liberal and oh, he's still duck quack.
We need to take up a GoFundMe or something for a better internet connection for Jack.
Rigging the election offices that matter.
It doesn't to me. I don't know what's leading you to
no. I understand what he's saying. Well, I mean, what Flow State is saying is it would make more sense to.
We see you.
Yeah, sorry. So am I okay now?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, you are.
It's StreamYard.
So real quick, before you go duck again, what would make you feel better about the elections?
So here's the basic of what I would say. When I see the government holding social media companies accountable for building technology and allowing it to be used in a very deceptive way, I'll take politicians actually more seriously when they say that they want to combat misinformation or disinformation or that kind of stuff, right? I don't see any real effort to educate the American people to get them involved in the process in a realistic, healthy way. What I see is I see politicians playing into the same game that the media and the social media and the rich people and the powers that be all seem to be driving people into emotional, reactionary positions that you can't actually affect any healthy change in the system. So I don't see everything I see about platitudes of election fairness and social justice on the left and on the right wing, holding people accountable. Like unless there's an actual plan of actionability to get 3%, let's just say 3% of the population more involved in the process of normal people who make less than $50 million a year, I don't take it serious. I just don't. I think that it's very deceptive on both sides where they're trying to get people to emotionally react and use that to keep people out of the process. And I think that our technology system is getting so complicated just on the influence side that if we're not really seriously looking at how powerful the social media and the influence is and how, not only rich people, but, I would say probably rogue elements of the United States military for the most likely, and probably foreign military. If we don't actually just kind of take that into consideration on some sort of honest, open level, then we're not really interested in having people involved in the process. And I think that right now is a very dangerous time to see that continue. That's where I'm coming from. And hopefully that makes some sort of sense.
If you had an answer in there, it got lost in all the conspiracy stuff. Is it like seeing more ordinary people involved in the process would make you trust it more? So it's not the election infrastructure itself. It's the participation level.
Well, it's everything together. It's a little bit of everything. It's not just that. It's the whole. It's
But
the whole picture.
what specific concrete thing would make you trust any election result? Nevertheless, 2020.
Okay. I'll give you a very basic one. Start severely limiting tech companies' mobility and what they're doing internally in the United States. Whatever they want to do outside the United States,
what does
that's
it have
fine.
to do with election security?
Because he's talking about like stuff like misinformation campaigns,
Like
and-
propaganda, like Biden won
Yeah.
because social media propagandized people against Biden.
But look, I'm not even saying that. I don't think that Biden or Trump are running shit. Let's just be honest about that. How I feel about it. I don't think either one of them are making decisions. I think that there's people who are making decisions for them, and they're representatives.
Why is it hard to give me a concrete answer to that question?
Well, I'm answering the question in as best of a way as I can. I don't. If you want a policy,
reasons to not
if
trust
you-
elections, like
sure. Okay, I guess
vulnerability
if
to
you want a policy, I would say, how about antitrust laws against social media companies would be
what
like
does
a
that
good
have
start.
to do with I want something specific election related that would make you feel more secure about the elections. If you think like what could 2020
I think that social media is running elections. That's what I'm saying. I think social media is running elections.
Politics has always been about persuasion. And
Look at the
propaganda.
Egyptian election. Look at North Africa. Look at
but even
there's been a color
media,
there's been a color revolution. There's been a color revolution every year for the past 15, 20 years around the world.
Jack, look,
I'm losing faith that I'm gonna ever get an answer to my question, and which is gonna make your point hard for me to understand about 2020.
Do you realize that social media has been the key thing in almost every color revolution around the world for the past 10 years at least?
Jack, okay, listen to me, buddy. Okay. Okay, first off, social media companies have, ever since the 2020 election, and I think before, began instituting basically misinformation laws or misinformation policies. You may not like those policies or agree with them or whatever, but that is what you're asking for. That is the kind of thing that you're asking for. Okay? I would like to see these social media companies broken up, antitrust laws, the whole fucking book thrown at them. Okay? But that thing is like separate from preventing people from spreading misinformation on social media.
You're making that claim. I don't know how you could possibly make that claim. I don't know how you can separate those two things.
Propaganda is not always misinformation.
Yeah, no. Like,
well, no. Propaganda is necessarily
it's a form of persuasive rhetoric. It doesn't necessarily have
look.
to be.
I'm someone who thinks of myself as a somewhat of a propagandist just because I use rhetoric that I don't necessarily agree with to make a point. But that's not to say that it's not.
That's not what a propagandist is.
I know, because propaganda has the connotation that it's trying to be subversive. So you're using
persuasive.
Yeah, it's not trying to be subversive. Propaganda can be subversive, but it.
Okay, let's look up the definition of propaganda and see.
Look up the definition of propaganda.
Let's make sure that we're on the same page. But anyways,
information, especially of a biased or misleading nature.
Look, that's why I said you have to get people educated
or publicize particular political.
Well, if your solution depends on educating the masses, good luck to you.
Like, Jack,
you're going to get the world that you deserve.
I was going to maybe suggest you read Manufacturing Consent, but that might make you more depressed.
Well, I agree with a lot of Noam Chomsky stuff. That's kind of what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying.
But like, your solutions are.
Propaganda is the dissemination of information to influence public opinion.
Yeah.
And that's from Britannica. And I just asked the AI.
Okay, what's the second definition for that?
It's
What?
a morally. We were using it as a morally neutral term, and we were defending our use of it as a morally neutral term.
Yeah, I
That's
use
all
it in that term too. But what I'm saying is what
Intent
I'm
to
describing.
influence, lack of objectivity, which doesn't necessarily mean falsehood. Appeal to emotions, use of symbols and techniques. So it's persuasive
Yeah, it's
rhetoric,
presenting-
persuasive communication.
Yeah.
You're trying to persuade someone to come around to a particular point of view.
Yeah, that's I
When
don't.
That's been part of politics since time.
Sure,
That's been part of everything since time. That's
sure, but here's the thing: we're using technology that is exponentially more powerful at manipulating people's emotional state
yes,
with information that is not
which is
cut and dry.
which is why some like for instance on YouTube, how under like if a video mentions a certain topic, they'll link the Wikipedia page for it to help. And same thing on I think Twitter. I don't know if Twitter still does it, but I know it did do it at some point. That helps combat the spread of disinformation. So you want more of that, right?
I don't think that that's necessarily helping. I think that you're kind of alluding to something that in theory would help, but what I'm saying is the average person that is getting whipped up into an emotional frenzy is not evaluating the situation very clearly. And
So-
obviously, social media
Do we need to take more
But
authoritarian measures?
you
we
have a
need to-
very idealistic view of politics. That's going
you
to
guys
happen.
have a very unrealistic view of the way the world works. You guys are living in the 1950s.
You want this
system.
completely
Jack.
logical, emotionless election where the mass public, like the people in their trailer parks, sit and logically analyze the issues and
Also,
vote
Jack,
logically on a politician. What fantasy world are you living in?
the world that you're proposing would so egregiously violate people's First Amendment rights. Like you're talking about like social media then has to like fucking clamp down. You're talking about
Yeah, he wants speech regulations.
that's what you're talking about. That's the solution
Well,
that you're
well, I'm pointing it at the people with the most influence, not at the people on the bottom.
No, I'm aware. Like I understand, but like that doesn't matter to me. So there are principles that I have that I think are more that are fundamental that you can't complete. I understand this is very liberal of me, but I like freedom of speech. In fact,
So what am I saying that is limiting free speech?
So if you were to say like you're talking about like preventing people from spreading mis or disinformation, right?
Well,
via social media.
what I'm saying is that we have no way to evaluate the information that we are being given as gospel, or on the conspiracy side. Both sides, we have no way to evaluate those things. We have no way to evaluate those
I don't think
arguments.
it's going to change anytime soon. I don't think the intellectual capacity
Well,
of the
okay.
average American is going to change anytime soon. And it doesn't matter anyway because people have the right to vote for someone for any reason they want. It doesn't have to be an intellectually thought out reason. They can vote because they like the person's tie, they like the color of his shoes, they just like his look. He gives the vibes he gives. They don't have to vote intellectually, and most of them won't. That's why I don't think your solution is really
but you guys are totally avoiding the implications of everything that I'm saying.
Is to make sure that
not.
the candidates you want get through the primary process,
Look,
so that you have some control of who gets on the ballot.
Yes, I agree. That's what I'm speaking about. But here's the thing, like you guys are totally circumventing the argument that I'm making.
Okay, what's the argument you're making? I was gonna say, and I'm still waiting to hear because, like,
you're saying good luck changing people. People have the right to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, fine. What I'm saying is, if you take election and if you take the direction that we're headed as a country seriously, why wouldn't you want a pathway to help people navigate the ever-changing information landscape that they don't have the
Because
tools.
I have a realistic view of
Also,
people.
also, we're way.
So you
we're
just
way
say,
off.
well, it's a bad situation, and I don't want to address the situation. Therefore, your argument is invalid. Is that what
You
you're
have
saying?
not demonstrated a bad
I
situation,
don't know
Jack.
where you got that
All,
from.
all you have mentioned is that people feel like, and
Yeah,
for what
you don't
it's
like the way people vote. Your criticism is not of the elections; it's of the American populace. They're
and
too
then
stupid to vote the way you want
also,
them to vote.
also for what it's worth, it's not a majority of Americans who feel that way. Like, like we of course.
I totally disagree, and I'll give you my evidence. I'll give you my evidence. How many people vote percentage wise in the United States in every election?
I have no idea.
It's really low.
How many people voted in this last? Yeah, exactly. You know why? Because they don't feel that it matters. That's the reason why.
You don't know why people do what they do. You don't know why any individual
people
votes the way
know,
they do.
look,
and
Yeah,
you don't
no,
know why
hang
they
on,
don't
hang on,
vote the way
hang
they
on.
do.
Actually, so Jack, that would work if, like, in the past we had a much higher than 10% voting range, but like the 2020 election was the biggest American election ever. The most people voted in that election than have ever voted in an American election before.
Look, dude.
So apparently, in
You
the year of the election that is apparently so contested, more people felt comfortable voting.
You guys are way more black pilled than me. What I'm saying is,
What do you mean?
let's
What do you mean
take
black?
a
No, I am more black pilled than you, but not for the reason. that you
obviously.
You're a black pill to have a realistic view of most Americans and how they.
I have the same view of Americans, but what I'm saying is, you have to do something about it if you care about it.
Yeah,
I don't have to do. No, I care about people's right to self-determine. I'm gonna let people vote how they want to vote. I don't.
Okay,
feel the urge to
I
go
care about people's right to
manipulate
self-determine,
them to vote in a
and their
certain
right
way.
and their right to be well informed is being
Yeah.
fucked with.
no, I
So
agree.
People
you
that
have to
want to be
address
well,
that.
people already have the ability to be well informed if they want to.
No, they don't. Absolutely,
Yes,
they
they
don't.
do. People can put any amount
No,
of
they
effort
do.
they want into
There's a
educating
lot
themselves
there's a lot
about
of
an issue or a
roadblocks.
candidate.
There are a lot of roadblocks to people educating themselves, and I do think that
So
we should be eliminating
What
as
what
many.
roadblocks in this day and age? They have
So
every reason.
the people that are running Biden and Trump, you have the ability to influence the people that influence Trump and
I
Biden
don't
to do
want
what they
to
do.
influence people. I don't feel called to do that. I want
Then
people.
what's the point of
to
elections if you don't want to influence the
I
people
want
that are
other people
elected to represent
to
you?
determine
What's
for
the point
themselves
of elections if you
what
don't
they
want to
for their
influence?
life. I don't want to.
What is the point of influence? What is the point of elections if you don't want to influence the people that are elected to represent you? That makes no sense. That's a
You're talking about
contradictory statement.
No,
the
wait,
point of an
hang-
election is for me to have a voice in who represents me in the
Yes,
state,
correct.
at the state level.
Correct. And how do you hold those people accountable
That
if they
says
don't
nothing
do what
about
you
other
want?
voters. That is me saying who I want to
Oh my
represent.
God.
Me. I'm not trying to influence other people.
Do you think that people are sat? Okay,
I'm going to let them determine for
Look,
themselves who they want to represent
if
them.
Amazon if Amazon messes up
me,
if Amazon messes up my delivery, I tell them, hey, I don't like the way you guys did the delivery, and I get my money back. If a politician doesn't do what I want,
customers.
if a politician doesn't do what I want, what recourse do I have?
Jack, you're okay, but this has gone so far away from talking about, like,
It's not. It's the basic function of the government that we live
If
in.
you want to go out and try to persuade voters, fine, I support that. You have that right. Do it. I personally don't feel the need to do that. But if you want to do that, if you think that's the best way to like make you feel better about elections is not only getting your own personal voice heard, but persuading as many other people as possible to see things your way and vote along those lines, I say more power to you.
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to feel like doing that, including myself.
even more than that, Jack. Okay,
You have a YouTube channel. Make videos to try to influence people to vote a certain way.
that's not what he's so. What he's complaining about is a bigger, sort of broader, more issue with our more with our society. It's not just a U.S. thing. It's a broad thing that, like, the internet has kind of
Correct. You can see it in India. You can see it in China. You can see it everywhere in the world. The same phenomenon is
What is that
more
phenomenon that's different from when we had radio, newspaper, and television?
Oh, it's just the amount of people can
Just the
consume.
scale, but
It's
not.
the
There's not a
scale,
difference in kind, just degree.
Well, yes, but it's such a difference in degree that it is causing it does. I do think it has significantly negatively affected us in a lot of ways.
What is it causing? Like, because I'm still caught up on election. I'm still caught up on it's causing a person that he doesn't want to win to win instead of the person he wants to win.
So this with this issue, what I'm discussing is a lot more broader than just elections. It's the idea of manufactured consent. This idea of like that things like the internet, the 24-hour news cycle. We're just bombarded with information and narratives day in and day out to sort of numb us. That not to numb us, but that it numbs us rather. So I'm trying not to make this conspiratorial. It does numb us, and that causes societal problems. One of which is apathy to politics and to voting broadly, and that's, I think, the fear that is eating at him, that is causing.
Well, what makes me fearful more than that in and of itself? It's the lack of reaction by people who should have a stake, whether you want to say that's in the government or people who have power or whatever, of getting people up to speed. If you're not trying to get at least some percentage of the American people to kind of like say, hey, we got to start like really looking at this problem, because it can lead to, color revolution. It can lead to moral and social decline.
What would a color revolution look like here in the United States?
Look at Egypt.
You would topple democracy.
So
Or does it just look
people,
like your candidate doesn't win and another
starving
candidate?
people who are pissed off and do bad things is
for
what it looks like.
For what it's worth, a color. I think definitionally, a color revolution wouldn't happen in America, because I'm pretty sure definitionally we're the ones who do the color revolutions. I think that's kind of
revolution.
Not colored. It's color. It's
no. Flo said BLM.
They're basically. It's like.
Yeah, that was
that's terminology for.
Is
like
J6 a color revolution? Is BLM a color revolution? Those were all.
Well, those were.
But none of them.
Social media. Those were social media manipulated individuals who were looking at real problems and being given a false solution. Now, if you want to say that was a conspiracy or not, the fact of the matter is, it was a bad fucking situation that interfered with the way people look at.
If you're talking about
government,
BLM, I absolutely.
I'm talking about both of them. I'm thinking about both sides.
I'm having a hard time tying it to elections specifically.
You think that BLM had no impact on elections in the United States?
I don't know what impact it had.
The effect they had on elections was entirely legal and legitimate. Do you have evidence?
Individuals burning down cities and stores, and
I mean, I don't want another BLM.
It's not.
Hang on. It's important to note. Are you talking about BLM the movement?
But I'm not connecting that to elections. I know January 6th is a response to.
What I'm saying is, if you stand up in a crowded theater and yell fire and people get killed, you are.
Are you worried about political violence on election day? How does this stuff tie to the actual elections?
Dude,
we started talking about.
My point is, we want to hold individuals accountable for shit, but we don't hold people with a lot more power and influence relative to their power and influence accountable for what they're doing. That's what I'm saying.
Like who? Donald Trump is under 4 indictments. If you're talking about white collar crime, I agree. I think
it goes for the government. It goes for military. It goes for.
I'm lost because we started talking about something very specific, which was the 2020 election and then election security in general, and we veered to all these other topics that I don't know how they connect back to the topic of elections, or have we moved off of that topic?
I mean, we've definitely moved off of that topic because that's part of what Jack.
Maybe my brain just is not making the switch. I keep thinking, what does all this have to do with elections? because I agree with like BLM and J6 and all that. Yeah, those
They
we should
weren't.
not. We should minimize that.
I'm not sure if those were color revolutions, but like yeah,
Well,
color.
what Flo said is true. I agree with what Flo said. A lot of it was performance art put on by a bunch of smart people with very good fucking lawyers that insulated them from any culpability for the movements that they created. That's my opinion, right?
That's not what a color revolution is.
Well, sure, but I'm using it in a colloquial term. I'm not saying that it has happened either. I mean, it could happen, but that's not
Are
what I'm
you worried
saying.
about violence, like political, socially?
I'm worried about people being manipulated into doing performance art that is not effective and that changes the way people interact with their government and
How do
makes
you
them not
stop
want to
that?
get
'Cause
involved.
They do that now. They glue themselves to paintings. They stop traffic with their protests.
Yeah,
That is
and
happening now.
you should look at what's happening in Europe right now with these crazy environmentalist
I'm
people.
against all of that. That's a totally different
Well,
topic.
guess
than
what? That's
security, but we can
coming
talk
to
about it.
America very soon. That's coming to America very soon.
It's
Don't
here
worry.
now. We saw it. We saw it in 2020. We saw it at
Jeff,
Charlottesville.
You
It's
heard
here
it
now.
here. Jeff is anti-protest. Jeff is anti-First Amendment.
I'm
So
not
un-American.
anti-protest. I'm definitely
kidding. I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
pro-peaceful protest.
It was a
I'm
joke.
anti-blocking traffic. I'm
Yes.
anti-burning down cities and rioting.
You want protests to happen sort of within the
current rules and laws.
No. Yeah. I'm not. I wasn't trying to make fun of you. I was like genuinely trying to. Yeah. Like I understand. That's your perspective.
Yeah, I'm anti-violent. Like, how hard is that to understand?
Well, what I'm saying is, rather than BLM or rather than a right wing, let's get Trump to be in office. What I would rather see is let's have people crowdfund getting their kids into law school to go and get involved in the system, so we don't have a bunch of crazy lawyers working for giant corporations.
Yeah,
that insulate them from culpability for their actions. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Well, see, your issues keep changing. Like you just keep jumping from issue to issue to issue.
Yeah, he is.
And now
you guys don't want to. You guys don't want to see. Well, I'm saying. Well, the alternative is you're going to see violence. Is what I'm saying.
I'm just saying the problem you've identified keeps changing, and then the solution keeps changing. So I'm
saying if you want
what the actual issue is.
If you want peaceful solutions, people should start getting more involved in what's going on around them. And if they're not addressing the manufacturing consent thing that Lib is talking about,
I cannot control what level.
Okay, but just saying, well, I don't care about this thing. Okay, if you go to
the kind of power over people that your solution requires, nor do I want it.
I didn't say that you individually need it.
I encourage everyone I meet to vote because I do think people should vote if they want to. I mean,
if they don't really have any choice, between the Democrats and Republicans, then really you're just saying, well, go vote so you feel better, even though it doesn't really make a difference.
They have two candidates they're going to be able to vote for, or they can write in, or whatever. There's probably more than two.
I mean, at least tell them to get involved in their local politics and primaries. I mean, that at least would be a step above. Go vote.
People to use the process and get involved in the process.
Yeah, because I think that's actually like vital and important to getting us out of a two-party system is for people to get involved. The more people we get involved, the more voices and
look, and like I was on Talcott yesterday, right? And after you left, Jeff, machine. And by the way, I'm not angry. I'm trying to get across a very difficult point that you guys are not wanting to take into consideration.
It's because you're not being effective at getting it across for the reason I just
stated. Or you're not being effective in actually considering what I'm saying. It's possible
because you keep jumping around, and my brain cannot land on the point that you're trying to make because it keeps moving around.
Well, look, people always use Northern Europe, like Norway and Sweden, and say, well, look, they have a social safety net and whatever, blah 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 blah, right? Well, until very recently, they also had Machine Lives brought this point up. They had 30 different parties, and they all have to agree on one thing to get anything go. So their legal process of changing their system is very slow, and they also have a very homogenous population of very similar language and type of people until recently. the United States is not a closed system. We are a very dynamic system. Now you're bringing in large populations of different people, and you have a very exponentially growing technological and social media influence system that people are not accounting for. If you want, like you're saying that you're concerned with people having the ability to evaluate their, like have free will and, exercise their free will. Well, if people are having their consent manufactured, as Lib keeps pointing out, that is not what you're taught. That is not your ideal. You're just saying, well, I don't know what to do about it, so I just accept that this is going to be a problem. But if the problem continues in the direction that it's going, you're really just avoiding like a giant elephant in a tiny room with you, and you're saying, well, I'll just ignore it until it mauls me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what you mean by manufactured consent. Like people being persuaded. That's always even back in like to the days of Greece.
No, yeah. The argument is that the scale of that modern technology has allowed is creating.
People are already persuaded. You're saying it's persuaded them from one way to another way, but people operate by persuasion.
No, yeah, but
that's been a constant of human history since there's been human history.
What I'm saying is the scale of the persuasiveness of the persuasion is beyond that.
How is the scale different from television or radio or any like?
Well,
anything we've had before. I just don't see that big of a leap.
Really, what it is has been the 24-hour news cycle. Really, like it wasn't the television; it was when there was always information. When people started always being able to be on the internet or be consuming information.
So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
No, yeah,
that's like a library was 24-hour information before that.
Well, not 24-hour, but. Also, it does seem that people, the way in which people consume media via books and via basically every other form, you can watch too much TV, right? You can like watch TV so much that it damages you. It doesn't seem that reading has that same kind of effect on a wide scale. Like,
well, are you worried about TikTok? Because that's a conversation.
I mean that's one thing. Broadly, I think the issue is more so the modern internet and before that the 24-hour news cycle that started fucking with people's heads. But like the point of this all is that that I understand Jack's anxieties. The difference is though that like those there's not a simple solution to those anxieties, right? Like,
yeah, I think it is anxiety, and the solution to anxiety is a mental health solution. So I think there's a solution.
Well, no, okay.
Anxiety, as in like.
So again, it goes back to is the environment causing the.
But he could do that himself.
Is the environment causing the anxiety, or am I self-causing it to myself?
Whatever's causing it, you are in control of managing it. Like you have the ability to.
Well, look. Here's what I'm saying. Everybody is feeling a level of anxiety based on this phenomenon that I'm talking about. And if people don't want to address it on a larger scale, then guess what? That anxiety is going to fester, and it is going to get worse. And you're going to see people
address it on an individual scale, which is my.
You're going to see people take advantage of that. You're going to see people take advantage of that, and you're going to see horrendous results. In my opinion, that's what I'm saying.
This is out of character for me, but Jack, can I maybe perhaps hope pill you? Okay.
I am very hopeful, by the way. I'm just saying I'm just not hopeful when you guys are like saying, well, I don't know how to address it, so let's just ignore the problem. Maybe you should. That's the point. Maybe you should have the anxiety.
I go out of my way to manage my anxiety and not have that level of anxiety.
Well, sometimes you can manage anxiety where you ought to have it, though.
I had 4 years of anxiety during Trump every single day, all day long. I was running to Twitter.
That's exactly the phenomenon that I'm talking about. You got burned out. You got burned out with your anxiety with Trump. And that made you not want to look at serious problems going on around you. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
You over and over for the serious problems, and you keep talking about a different problem every time.
Jack, we okay, so we both agree on the one of the, at least one of these core problems. Why is it that I trust the US elections broadly with like some asterisks around, but like, I mean, in that, like, I'm not necessarily sure that I like have complete and absolute and unwavering trust in any election, in a Western democracy or otherwise. But like, I broadly trust the US elections. Why is it that like I do, but you don't, even though we see the same issue?
Well, the truth is, I'm not really that concerned with the election of 2020. I mean, I didn't really like
Or
care that much.
Elections broadly.
I'm not even concerned with that. My point is the fact that people are not actually concerned with those things. They're just LARPing as if they are, because they're not really looking at the situation for what it is. That's what I'm saying. That's what bothers me. It's the fact that people are looking at these little tiny issues that are not really an accurate representation of the environment in which they're looking at, right?
I'm not concerned about 2024 election either.
Yeah, like,
I don't even know who's going to be on the ballot yet.
Yeah, I was about to say, fucking.
So I don't have any emotion about 2024 yet because it's too early for me.
Either of those fuckers could keel over any day now.
Yeah, I mean that. But look, that's what I mean. What I'm saying is, we're so concerned about the elections, but we're not concerned with the mechanics of how our government is actually running. That's what I'm not saying you guys. I'm saying people in general.
I don't have an issue with how it's running.
Look, the fact that all these people on January 6th got out there and LARPed and got upset because they thought Trump is being run out of office. Look, whether that's true or not,
they got propagandized. Yeah.
Yes, that is my point. Exactly.
Right, but that was what, 4 years ago.
Well, guess what? There's a whole bunch of people that are getting propagandized right this very moment over the same fucking thing 4 years ago. I mean, and I'm watching it happen in real time, and people are not like saying, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't."
You think there's going to be another January 6th?
Yeah, I do. I think you're going to see a lot more people getting fucking sucked into some bullshit, and they're going to
there's going to be.
I don't have that fear at all.
It's not a fear. It's not a fear. It's a recognition of what is. I'm not saying that you should be scared of it.
It's not a recognition of what is because it hasn't even happened yet.
I'm not worried about another January 6th. I'm worried about an effective January 6th. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
I mean, because this is the thing, right? Like, it's one of these things that, like, it's important to know January 6th was like a fucking clown show, right? Like that coup was not going to succeed. That was a hilariously bad attempt at a coup. But it's worth noting that the beer hall putsch was a hilariously bad failure.
Exactly right. Yep, exactly right. Because, and look, it's the fact that people took it seriously then, and they take it seriously now, but they're not willing to do the hard work, which is like, take a look in the mirror.
I don't see signs of a beer hall put. Where's the smoke that would lead me to believe that the fire of a beer hall put is on the horizon?
It's Gen 6. That's the Gen 6 is the.
I don't think it's a harbinger of a beer hall push coming in the future.
Well, you got to read your history a little more, Jeff.
And I don't take that interpretation.
Look, Jeff, I'm not being insulting, but you got to read your history a little more, man. You got to look at the circle.
What does history tell me about how to connect January 6th to the future?
It's not about. So January 6th, there's not going to be a event in the future that is analogous to the beer hall putsch. The analogy is that Jan 6th was Trumpism's beer hall putsch. That is,
and it doesn't make me fearful of anything in the future.
Well,
it definitely concerns me because
it's the phenomenon. It's the phenomenon. It can be used by any side for any reason. It's not just the Hitler thing, right?
You do understand that, like, just because.
In fact, I think we've gotten better at preventing it as a result of that experience.
Well, I'll just make this.
People are less likely to try it, and I think we're more prepared to. Resolve it if it happens.
I think that they're wargaming us by these little LARPing contests where we go out and pretend to protest things that we have no actual influence on.
I don't know who they is, and I don't think that.
We are they. We are
I'm
doing
not
it to
doing any of
ourselves.
that, so it's definitely not me. Hey, Chuck, welcome, by the way.
Yeah, I think we're in the age of information overload is the biggest problem.
You might
Well,
be
much
right.
yeah.
It's leading to
And Flo,
conspiracy
I'm
information too
anxiety
fast.
overload,
and
fear
Flo,
overload.
I'm guilty of LARPing too. That's why I know what I see. Like I know from experience. Like we all get sucked into some version of our own little thing, and we think, oh, we're going to have all this influence on the system. But what really changes? Nothing. The people that are running things are just using this
Politicians that we
stuff.
elect.
Do you have any ability to hold a politician who messes with you really accountable, or is the next asshole who goes in there going to do the same damn thing that he's doing?
I don't know. I've
Let's
talked
be
to
honest.
politicians before. I have
Yeah, and most
contact numbers to my representative. I haven't had the need to try, but
Yeah,
if I
Jack.
ever do, I'm going to use it.
Yeah, Jack. You're
Yeah,
not.
and
You're
guess
not
how much
you're not-
leverage do you have versus like the companies that are giving them campaign donations and saying if
It
you don't
doesn't
get
matter
this
as long
law
as I
through,
have enough leverage to accomplish my purpose. It doesn't matter how much leverage the companies have.
Yeah, Jack. You're not gonna be able to black pill Jeff on American oligopoly. I mean democracy.
I know me and you already realize how bad it
When
is,
it
but
stops
Jeff doesn't
working,
want
when
to.
I have direct experience in my life that it's no longer working, then that's when I'll be black pilled. But that hasn't happened
yeah.
yet. It's worked.
Yeah.
Well,
No. I'm not like
Just like you get in the car, you
like-
turn your key, the engine comes
I
on,
know.
it works. So I don't need to
know.
worry that my car is not working.
Right, just like how you turn on your phone and the phone says everything's okay, so you believe that everything's okay, right?
The phone doesn't tell me everything's okay, and why would I not believe it? What am I supposed to do? Like, phone, you're lying to me?
Do you say things like
That's
you?
paranoia.
Oh my god, Jack, stop with your quips. Your quips make you sound crazier than you. We agree, Jack. You're making me look bad.
Okay, I mean, I could put it the other way and say the phone tells you to be afraid, and you're afraid. But for Jeff, it's the opposite. He says, well,
No.
the system's working for me, so I don't need to worry about it, which I get that. I actually agree to some degree. I'm just
Where
saying,
is
like,
it not working for you?
well, if I want people to generally be smarter and
You can't
have some
that's not
say in
the
what's going on
system,
around
and
them.
you can't, that's humans. That's not the system, and that's any form of government. You're going to have stupid people in it, and you're not in control of the level of intelligence people operate at. Or go major in education or something and try to make a difference to the few people that you might be able to reach.
I know people who were in education, and guess what they said? This is the worst way to possibly try to influence people to be smarter. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think indoctrination should be in schools either. But I'm saying if you're concerned with people's education level or intellectual capacity, go somewhere where you have the ability to direct.
what about their moral capacity?
Well,
how about their
now it's moral capacity. The topic just changed again.
how about their
I can't
perception capacity?
Jack,
Go ahead, Leb. I'll let you try to salvage whatever I did wrong.
You just need to find a group of like-minded individuals, okay?
And go LARP in front of in somewhere in Washington D.C. and get myself arrested.
It's like
and
we've been saying forever.
No,
Every
it
single
doesn't have
episode, I say
to
the
be-
same thing. It's all about creating communities, guys. It's just
I was gonna
about
say,
creating
like,
communities.
this started-
the second round started when I asked Jack how the system was not working for him, and he started talking about the education or intelligent level of other people. He didn't even give me anything specific to him. He's just bothered that other people are less intelligent than he is, and then it switched to moral capacity.
Jack, doing this, finding community to work within the system is not like quitting. It's not accepting a broken. I mean, I guess it is accepting a broken system, but like the system.
That's exactly what I'm arguing for. I'm arguing for people to get involved. I'm not saying don't get involved. I'm saying go get involved in a.
We're arguing for the same thing because I advocate for that all the time.
What I'm arguing for is don't get caught up in these bullshit movements that are not actually accomplishing anything other than, well, many things,
like
but
BLM,
not what
I
you
don't
wanted to
think
get done.
What bullshit movements are we getting? Are the people in this panel getting caught up in though? Because it seems like you're directing a lot at the people in this panel. So I'm saying, what
Well,
bullshit movements are we getting caught up in?
This is not at Jeff or Lib or anyone here, but Flo knows what I'm saying. Like he's been there and
What
seen
is
like
Flo know?
good, well-meaning people getting caught up in something where they think that they're actually making a difference by putting their faith in Trump or putting their faith in DeSantis or whatever the fuck. And all I'm saying is like, let's put our faith and hope in things that we actually have some level of control over. Is what I'm trying to say,
My
right?
faith and hope is in this streaming channel
And
and this.
gaining more
That's
control.
it. That's the only
I don't-
thing that immediately that I have faith. I'm not even worried about 2024 yet.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Well, the whole thing started over the election thing, and all I'm saying is like, I don't think elections really matter that much, and
no,
I
they do.
think
They matter a lot. They are in
Oh,
fact
yes, they do.
they are in fact the most
Well,
important.
how much they matter is going to be subjective.
currently the way that people are acting currently is causing it to be that way. Well, what I'm saying is, if people got in there and started actually getting involved in the process, it would be significantly much more important.
Okay,
Yeah, I
But
mean,
as the way it stands
how do you
now,
accomplish that?
voting third party is a big way, or maybe not even voting third party, getting involved in a third party campaign. Because of
Okay, so what campaigns are you involved in, Jack? Or what voters' rights or voter advocacy groups are you involved in?
I've been involved in local politics, not really, but enough to know how easy and how hard it is. Like,
Yeah.
as an individual, you don't have much power, but if you can get a few people that are actually somewhat on the same page and are kind of interested in learning the process, a lot can get done. But
I'm
but but
I'm
but
not even talking about joining
yeah.
like you don't even
Do
have to
you
join,
have that
like,
now?
office. I'm saying like we're in election season now, baby. All right, there you got people starting to campaign. And while yeah, sure, maybe the Democrats aren't putting anybody other than Genocide Joe out there, and maybe basically none of the Republicans other than Trump have a chance. But there are tons of third-party campaigns that you can get involved with, grassroots movements. There's like a number of states there's a bunch of people who started popping up.
But
That
how
you
is
can
that different than putting your faith in Trump or DeSantis, which he also just criticized?
I'm not talking about voting. I'm talking about participating in campaigns is participating in politics. Actually participating in politics, not just having like discourse about it or whatever.
Hey, so-
Um, is the thing that, like, to me at least, makes it real and allows you to exist with it around it easier.
Yeah, and look. The truth is, like, I'm just purely looking at the political aspect of this. The truth is, I think that the where we work and how we go about our jobs and stuff like that, I think is probably arguably more important than even getting involved in politics, because look at the stuff in Europe with like the yellow jackets in France, or look at the German farmers right now, doing massive protest about food production, and like water rights and stuff like that. Like that is probably arguably more important than even your local election.
Let's not rope in the farmers' protests and water rights. Okay, those are not all the same things.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, people need to have some, like, more real world things that they can do something about, right?
Why can't
We have to go to work. We have to make money. We have to participate in the economic system. We have a lot of say based on that as well.
No, you don't.
What do you mean?
You don't have to.
No, you have to if you don't want to die. If you don't want to, like,
But you don't have to though. There are plenty of people that don't.
okay, hang on. Okay, well, okay.
What's wrong with letting people self-determine what they should do, need to do, have to do, all that, instead of having Jack get all worked up about what people should be doing? I think it's my valorization of autonomy and self-determination that's clashing with some of what Jack's saying, because he seems really bothered. Like Joshua Jones does the same thing. He has this really strong idea of what people should be doing, and he gets very exercised about them not doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a particular like thing that I think people should be doing. I'm willing to let people do their own thing, whatever they determine that to be, and then I worry about my thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm less. It makes me less anxious when I look around at what other people are doing.
I do think it changes when you're talking about like moral things. Like I would actively encourage people to not, for instance, kill people, because I don't think that's
Yeah, I do that too, but that I don't really see a lot
That's
of that just around me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying like that, like moral things are like the exception. Like I will encourage people to act in ways that I think are moral, but that's because
And those are those are also legal like bounds which you already have said. So I take it for granted that everyone's going to
are.
operate within legal bounds. But this is
Some
moral stuff. Like Joshua has opinions about how people should express themselves sexually. Jack has opinions about their education like level or what level of political involvement they should have. So that's like extra legal moral stuff.
Well, but this is the thing, though. Like, your actions on a small scale have moral implications that you're not really aware of, right? Like, you know,
So?
I mean,
what? How does that concern you?
so, I mean, that's kind of what we're really talking about at the end of the day. Like, if you're getting your consent is being manufactured because you don't really have access to proper information, and you go and do things that are morally wrong, but you don't have any accountability, and the people that influence you to do those things don't have any culpability. Well,
Like what? Who's
that's
influencing
kind of
you?
a moral problem, right?
Like what? What's an example? If they're being influenced to break crimes, we have a legal system already in place to address that.
Well, like the
They're
fact
being
that
influenced to do stuff that you just don't like or approve of. Well, hey, this is America.
yeah. Like I hate to agree with Jeff here, but like I fucking hate fascists,
do?
but America, in America, you can like call yourself a fascist and like say fascist shit all you want, as long as you're not breaking the law.
well, that's not really what I'm talking about. I mean,
That's why I keep asking for an example. I kept saying like what? Like what?
well,
What is something someone's being influenced to do
do
from
you
lack
think
of information?
do you think that 100 years ago the people in America thought
Just give
that
me
they're
an
great,
example. Just give me
that
just
they're
make a
I
statement.
am
Say,
do you
here's an
think that
example of something. That's a
do you
question. You're
think
asking a question.
Yeah. Just
let me say what I'm going to say.
and answer the question in asking the question.
Okay, but I have a feeling it's gonna like it's another like rabbit hole trap.
Do you think that the average person in America believe that their great grandchildren would virtually not be able to buy a home in the United States of America 100 years from now, from that
And
point?
I was right. What is an example of something people are currently being influenced to do from lack of information or faulty information, morally?
They're participating in a system in such a way to which you can't
What?
buy
How
property in the
specific?
United States
How specific?
without getting into massive debt. You can't go to college without getting into massive debt. That's a problem. It's basically legalized. It's legalized indentured servitude.
I had no idea this whole time you were talking about college debt. I never saw that one coming.
It's legalized indentured servitude is what it is.
Oh my God.
You disagree with that, Lib? How do you disagree with that?
You're just broadly gesturing. You're not talking about specifics, and you're not bringing up.
So you think that indentured servitude is not a problem?
No. Well, in America
I gotta go
today,
pee. I'm back.
Okay.
no, I don't think.
So you don't think the fact that a house is vastly overpriced, the insurance corruption is insane.
Is that what
The fact that it costs $1,000 to get insured for the average person in the United States for health insurance, you think that that's not a problem?
Jack, are you there?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could hear me. Okay. I'm sorry. It frustrated me so much I lost my train of thought completely. Repeat the last thing you were saying.
I'm just saying the way the economic model is set up, I would characterize it as a version of indentured servitude.
Oh, What? No, but it's not. It's not indentured servitude though. It's a debt economy, which is functionally different than indentured servitude.
Okay, help me understand the difference between what I colloquially call indentured servitude and what you call a debt economy. What's the distinctions that you would make?
In indentured servitude, you could legally sell your body. That was what you were selling, oftentimes. That's like
Right,
illegal.
which now you trade your time for money, which is virtually the same thing.
Well, it's different, but it's very much different. It's so wage work today is different from indentured servitude in the same way that indentured servitude was different from chattel slavery, in that like indentured servitude was a system that was set up as a basically lesser form of slavery, and then wage labor is basically, I mean, that's not even a lesser indentured form of servitude. It kind of is, not exactly, but we can
Right,
describe it
but
that way.
again, we're not even looking at all the other mechanisms that are at play, right? I mean, the money manipulation, the way that money sloshes around, the way that they print money from thin air and
Jack.
charge debt on it. I mean, you know.
Yes, but Jack, I understand this. You're just making the communism argument. You're just doing the communism.
I know
Actually, not
that.
even
That's
the
why
communism argument.
I can't believe you're fighting with me on the Marxist,
No,
analysis here.
I agree, but where we disagree is that you think that that means that participating in the vote. I thought you meant that participating in the voting was pointless, but I don't believe, even though I agree with you that our system isn't perfect, um, has flaws, um, that doesn't mean that our elections are rigged. Like our elections can still be like, just our options are limited because of the system that we live under. Like,
Well, it's
and
rigged
I
from a
advocate.
point of view. It's rigged from a different point of view. I mean,
Yeah,
from
I
your
mean,
point of view, I
advocate.
understand that
No,
maybe you don't see it that way, but
no,
from
no.
a
I mean,
certain perspective, you could argue that it is for sure.
I don't think rigged is the. It has other
Right. Well,
connotations.
but my whole
Rigged
point
has
of
the
bringing that up is
connotations.
that
Rigged has the connotations of that there was never any, like, none of the votes ever mattered. Nobody. It was going to be the
right.
same outcome no matter what. Whereas the truth is, it's more manipulated from the beginning because of the fact
Yeah.
that we have that there's really no way to break a third party into the
Correct.
actual
Right.
But that's every
conversation.
election.
We have no real ability to, like as you said, hold politicians accountable, except for every few years when we have elections, unless they get arrested or something. In that case, we do. But like, there's nothing that's keeping a politician from promising all these things and then going into office and then just not ever doing them, like
That's
Biden
often,
and Trump and
yeah,
many other presidents
Yeah,
have
but
done.
that's any
that's
election.
what they do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but
Like,
we're talking about a higher order of analysis, not just that.
I'm saying even with that higher order of analysis, I agree with your higher order of analysis, and yet I do think the American democratic system is not too tainted. Like, I do think it's still a democracy and B, salvageable.
I agree, but here's the thing: if you don't start getting the individual to level up, it's
How?
it's on a particular trajectory that is not going to be very good. That's
How?
obvious to me, right?
Are you involved in groups?
Yeah, like
Well, that's
I've
what I'm doing
actually,
here is trying to convince people that they should look at things from this angle first and see what's going on, and then we can decide what's next. But people don't see. People can't even do basic Marxist analysis that's 100 years old,
I
and
mean,
we're way beyond that. So that's kind of what I'm saying. And I'm not saying I'm a Marxist. What I'm saying is, you can use analysis without agreeing with the solutions, right? Even Lib, who's a Marxist or communist, he doesn't just take all communist thing and say communist good. He's using a very particular set of those things and applying it based on his current understanding, right?
well, I mean,
And
yeah,
you know,
and then
He's using
also,
critical thinking.
and then I
I
mean,
think.
also, like, I mean, so there's a, um, God, y'all fucking cringe at this, but Gloria de la Cruz, the she's the PSL Party for Socialism and Liberation candidate. And there is a meeting here in Seattle that I'm going to be going to participate in that campaign, because participating in campaigns is a good thing. And
What's her name? Who is she?
hang on, let me make sure I have it. It's Gloria
Marxist
De La Rosa. Gloria De La
What
Rosa.
is she running for?
She's running for president.
For against Biden and Trump.
Yeah,
or whoever.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
no, yeah.
just like all
a fair
third party
thing.
elections, they have no chance of winning. But it's just it's there. They do that to establish establish the party more and to get the brand the conversation. Yeah, I mean,
and I think the PSL of all the, like, I guess, leftist parties that are potentially on the ballot, I think they're the ones that are the most serious and the most, genuinely leftist. Unlike
you think they have more of a chance than Green Party of actually getting any actual traction though?
they're more serious than the Green Party.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I view the Green Party and the Libertarian Party as about the same amount of seriousness. Even though the Libertarian Party,
Libertarian Party really clown themselves a few times more than I think the Green Party even has.
That's the thing. Like, they're just like, even though they're the only other, they are literally the third alternative. They just, I don't know. I fucking hate libertarians.
In principle, I should be a libertarian, but every time I actually talk to libertarians, it makes me remember why I'm not.
Yeah,
because they're authoritarian.
I mean,
well,
not
no, they're just stupid.
Yeah, oftentimes. I remember
sometimes they're authoritarian. Sometimes they're authoritarian.
For me, it's the authoritarianism that's going to be required to have their
to enforce a ruleless society. That you need a ton of rules to enforce a ruleless society.
I guess actually this is perhaps unfair. I should be using more succinct language. It's usually ANCAPs. Libertarians.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes libertarians are just Nazis, but they don't.
Sometimes libertarians are just moderates, to be honest.
Yeah, and then sometimes they're like, oh man, I vote Republican, but I like weed. That's
pretty much that's what I've come across.
That is what a lot of libertarians I've seen.
I mean, in terms of like the idea of being basically like for essential liberties and like that everyone should basically be able to do what they want as long as it's not hurting anyone else or because of like drug laws. As long as you're not harming other people or society or anything like that, I think.
Now I get it. Lib is upset with me because I'm an AMCAP and he has to agree with me more than he wants to, and that's gotcha.
I mean,
you're not that close. You're not ANCAP in the way that other ANCAPs I've met before.
I know. I mean, I agree with most ANCAP.
Do you though? Do you agree with most ANCAPs? That sounds.
No, I said I did. Sorry, I meant to say I disagree. I'm
about to say because I've never heard you say anything that I identify as being like a strictly ANCAP like position on things.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I do hold this. I don't think that there's such a thing ideologically as anarcho-capitalist. I think that once you get to that point ideologically, you just loop back to like feudalism. That's the real horseshoe theory.
I have to say though, I feel the same way about the term anarcho-socialist as well though. So
anarcho-socialist is just because leftists like splitting and making more divisions because we hate each other.
You said yourself you're an anarcho-socialist at one point, and that was like to me that was
anarcho-communist. I don't think I called it.
That was the last hour. Now we're something different. Come on now.
I mean, they're labels. They're all reasonably descriptive. It doesn't like.
I just don't see how communism can exist without rules, without something that's pretty much the opposite of anarchy. So I find them to be like it's like believing believing in irony as a political standpoint.
Yeah, don't get it wrong, Chris. He'll put you out in the field and put you against the wall. Okay, don't get it wrong now.
Anarchy is not about no rules. It's about no state.
Yeah, that's what some people say, but then again,
right, and the difference is, and here's the thing, I agree with that, and that's why I say I'm an anarchist but here's the thing, you have two ways to get to anarchy. You have enforced anarchy, and you have let's grow out of this before we get to that point. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I fat disagree. I don't think you can enforce anarchy. I think because
Well,
if you're enforcing anarchy,
I know that, but that's my point. Is if people, everybody is an anarchist to some degree. Everybody
anarchy-
doesn't want to believe that they want to be told what to do. I mean, for the most part. I mean, outside of a kink situation, perhaps, but like
necessarily a utopian.
AI defines it as society without formal structures of authority or hierarchy, absence of rules of government. So I don't know about this anarchy.
Well, anarchy basically just means that you don't have the right to force somebody to do something against their will, essentially.
Anarchy as an ideology is about removing unjust hierarchies. Notably,
Well,
the
this
state
says without hierarchy at all, which is the way I understood it. So unless it's changed in
well,
this new generation, because they're changing the
what I'm
definition
saying,
of every other damn thing.
what I'm saying is that ideologically, if you look at like anarchist thinkers and writers, it's not that there wouldn't be rules. It is that you wouldn't have a state and you wouldn't have unjust hierarchies. There are some
Right.
hierarchies that are
and yet unjust hierarchies would still somehow emerge, and they would still somehow.
Well, like what is an unjust hierarchy? Because
Well,
the one that you're on the bottom of is unjust, and the one that you're on top of is just.
no.
Well, it's about the enforceability of hierarchies, right? Like you can have a hierarchy, but enforcing it at gunpoint is very different than saying you ought to listen to me because I'm an expert or because I know something you don't or whatever. Right?
I'm against that too. That's just authoritarianism, though. I'm talking about, but hierarchies evolve in every single social system, no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try to fight them.
Here's a good example. Actually, and I love this one because David Graeber made this one. Hashtag David Hero. I like David Graeber. A teacher and student. That is a just hierarchy.
Wait, say it again. A teacher and student.
A teacher and a student, because the hierarchy itself actually subverts itself, because once a teacher teaches a student,
well, it's because it's dialectical. The teacher learns as much as the student teaches.
Well, I mean, not even just that, but like there is a point at which the teacher loses their hierarchy over the student, because there comes a point at which the student learns all that the teacher has to teach them. It is a self-subverting hierarchy. I like it. It's good. It sounds just.
But not all hierarchies are going to be like there. There are some
you're right.
hierarchies that will naturally emerge that you do not have the ability to control, shape, or design.
Well, not me personally, but like we, the societal we do. Well, I mean,
it's like us as humans, as primates. It's going to happen.
Well, but
as part of our nature, you're going to have more dominant personalities. You're going to have more.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you have to have enforceable hierarchies.
That forms a natural social hierarchy. People are going to listen to some people more than they listen to others. They're going to ignore some. I know I'm on the bottom.
No.
They're going to.
Well, the key is enforceable.
Yeah, the thing is, social hierarchies are different than institutional hierarchies. One of the, at least from my perspective as an anarchist, my issue primarily is with the state. I believe
how long before those naturally emerging social hierarchies just get codified? Because at some point it's going to be like,
that can be codified. That's fine.
But this is where I'm coming from, which is that if you don't want hierarchies, then I would argue that you need to have a certain level of people and certain number of people that do not need and do not want. Those two things are kind of a prerequisite to anarchy.
Oh no! It's not that I want no hierarchies. It's that I don't want hierarchies that
are unjustly enforceable. Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Right. And Jeff, I know what you're going to say, so I'm going to preempt this. It is absolutely subjective, and that's part of the reason why, like, when I talk about anarchism, it is a utopian ideology, because what I'm talking about is a system that would require a different society.
Of individuals. You need and this is what I'm talking about. This is the perspective I'm coming from as well. You need individuals who are capable of doing this. Right now, we don't have that, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to,
because it's not real. You need fantasy humans that don't exist in reality, because human nature doesn't work that way. This
No,
is the same
it's not about it's not about like different. It's about different societies. It's not about different people. It's about different social structures. We would have to have different social structures in order.
But the social structures
going to enforce
supervene
them?
on human nature, and human nature, the constants of human nature, are going to emerge regardless of what social structure you try to impose upon it. Humans are not blank slates that you can just impose a social structure and they'll conform to it.
Yeah,
There's human nature, and hierarchies are part of that nature.
I wish they weren't,
to a
to be
degree.
honest.
To a degree. I mean, no.
If I hadn't seen, if I didn't see it myself everywhere in the world, I would want. I mean, I want to believe. I want to believe that, but I just don't see it. I haven't seen any evidence that hierarchies aren't going to.
This is why, like, I make the distinction. I want to get rid of unjust hierarchies. So here's another example of a just hierarchy.
Who determines?
Well, the future society would be the ones to determine it.
It's
like
not me.
that's no, it's not us. Like, I mean, we can come up with what we think are ideas for what are just and unjust hierarchies, but at the end of the day, these are all like subjective things that, like, the people in the future who are dealing with these problems,
I'm going to let the future determine its own self.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying the kind of society that I want to push for is a society
well,
people in the future will be able to get to make those choices to remove any hierarchies that they believe are unjust or harmful or whatever, that people will be able to mold their environments in ways that are beneficial as much as possible.
They can do that now. I do that now.
I'm saying I think people should have more freedom to do that than they do now.
Right. And they need more capability in order to handle the responsibility of that freedom. And that's kind of where I'm coming from when I'm making these arguments. What I'm saying is, if you want more capable people, you need to make it possible for them to be that way. Of course, some people will not choose that, but I think that more people than will if given the right conditions. So you either need to create the environment or make the people more resilient, or some combination of that, right? And that actually goes to the mental health question, right? Is it the environment or is the people? Well, it's both at the same time, right? Like, you have to reinforce both sides of the coin to make a whole, right? Like, you can't just ignore the environment. The point
you have the most control over, because you don't have control over people's biology and physiology, is the environment.
Right. Well, I mean, go to China and try to be an individual. It's not going to work out too well for you. You know what I mean? Like,
so creating healthy environments is the best you can do. You can't create healthy human. You can't make humans be healthy. Yeah. You can affect the environment, though.
Yeah. Correct. That is probably some of the biggest impacts that it seems that you can have on people is by changing their environments.
Right. And this is why I'm not pro immigration in general. It's not because I hate people from another place, but I recognize, like, people are going to bring in their baggage with them, and I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. But what I'm saying is, you have to
have baggage on it. We're not a monoculture, and this alien invading species is coming from outside. We have
Americans are already alienated from their own culture as it is what I'm saying. Now you bring in people who are even.
That's a capitalism problem, though.
Well,
it's not an immigration problem.
It is. It really is a capitalism problem.
That's not a brown immigrants coming in.
I mean, even Bernie Sanders was against it.
No, look, we're bringing in capital. We're bringing in immigration because of capitalism, though.
Well, no, we're bringing in.
I mean, that's the primary reason they cite for the reason to bring in
because of industrialization.
Correct.
What happens when countries industrialize is your native birth rate tapers off, and so then you have to fix your birth rate otherwise.
Right.
And the way that America does it is,
so we create the problem, and then we create another problem by trying to fix the problem, and then we create another problem, and then we fix it.
The first problem.
That's what humans have done for forever. That's just how we work.
Yeah, that is how we work. But also, the problem that you're citing, first off, is the Industrial Revolution, which, like, I don't think we can, like, just undo it. Like, look,
Sure, but we can build firewalls. Go to China and look at how they've decimated their resources. I mean, if you think that people coming from China, coming here and getting in charge of the government and corporations here, they're not going to do the same thing here. I think that you're very naive to believe that.
What Chinese are coming here and
Yeah.
taking charge of our institutions and then changing it
Well,
to the way?
And don't just broadly gesture.
Look, and it's not even about because they're Chinese. It's because look at the environment that they're in there. People bring their own opinions over here, and look, and Americans are growingly becoming this, having the same culture.
Xenophobic.
That's
It's not xenophobic. You're misconstruing what I'm saying.
You're just not really. You're like, look, all right, I know.
Go to China and see what they've done to
come
their
from over
resources.
there and bring their ways and their opinions and stuff.
Okay, is that not the history of humankind? Do people not bring their traditions and their ways to wherever they go? Of course they do. Come on. Or they melt together.
Have a problem with it or object to it for some reason, and that's where I think the xenophobia is coming from.
I'm not. Trust me, I'm not xenophobic.
I don't care if
afraid.
people
I'm
come
just
here
saying
and bring their ways.
it's.
I want them
Okay,
to.
well, if they decimate our resources, you don't think that's a problem?
Okay.
How is bringing their way, like their cultural
No,
ways,
no,
decimating
Jack,
our resources? Those are two separate things
Jack,
that you're conflating in your head, like everything else.
No, look, China before communism and China after communism and industrialization is two totally different things. I'm not.
Is that
saying
happening here? Is we're not
Jack.
China?
Jack, what are you talking about when you say they're coming in and they're utterly decimating us? What do you mean?
I'm not saying they are. What I'm saying is, do you think that the way that we manage resources here is better than the way we manage resources in other places in the world?
What are you making like we should close off immigration to?
No,
preserve
what I'm
resources?
saying is you need a level of justified trust among the people who live in a system, is what I'm saying.
Well,
And
you don't even have that with Americans.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
No.
I think you have trust issues and probably some xenophobia, and they're probably related. You're entrenched into this. It's a form of tribalism.
Go ask the average Chinese person who came over here if they want to go back to China. Is it because they're xenophobic of China? No, it's because they like the way things are here now better than they like it over there.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Okay. Also, how many?
Exactly. I don't blame them either. So, how's that xenophobic?
Okay, but they can come over here. In fact, I want them to because I don't know. Chinese food's cool. If you
Look,
bring more Chinese
I
food
in general agree with you, but what I'm saying is the way that we're going about it is probably not the right way to go about it.
Well, then
Yeah,
change it. Like lobby
immigration
to have the
reform-
immigration law.
reform would be-
We
yeah,
have
immigration
laws
reform
in
is a
place and
huge thing that needs
processes
to
in
be done.
place that we're using, and they've been around forever, like for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but we do need serious immigration reform. That is true. We need to reform.
Yeah, but we've
our
needed my whole life since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about immigration reform. We've
Yeah, I
needed
agree.
that forever.
I mean,
That is a political. That's something the political process can address.
Yeah.
And if he's
It's
that
an
passionate
example.
about it,
and it
there are
refuses to.
already avenues that he could use to achieve whatever his immigration vision is.
It's an example of a much larger phenomenon I'm referring to. I'm not saying that it's
Everything's
just
an
because Chinese
example of
people
a much
coming.
larger phenomenon with you, and I never know what that larger phenomena is ever. It's just one example after another of something so vague I can never have a clear grasp of what that thing is.
Do you think that we're doing things at an optimal way and that there's no room for improvement?
No. Now, how do we get from there to what you're trying to say?
Well, first step, we need to close all our borders immediately. Stop.
No, I'm not even saying that.
Stop all those Chinese people coming in from South.
I'm
South
just
Africa.
using that as an example
Okay.
because I've been to China and I've seen what they've done to their environment. And it's not the people that are doing it, it's the system that they're living in. That's why they're fleeing here at 10 times the rate at the last 10 years right now because they're getting crushed they're getting crushed by their own government.
I saw a video of military-age Chinese males coming in on foot into America. Via
I'm not
South
scared.
Africa, okay?
Yes, that's true. That is true. Yes.
On foot via South Africa, yes, into America. They did that. I saw a video of it. It proved it.
Okay.
I'm being entirely facetious. It was.
No, and look, I'm not saying I'm scared that China's invading America. Even if that were to happen, I couldn't do anything about that. What I'm saying is they're leaving their system because their system is failing.
Yeah.
And now you're going to burden our system with the same fucking problem. How is that helping anybody?
It's not like they're just coming, like getting in a boat and coming on here and landing and getting off.
Also,
They're
it's
going through a process. So they're meeting, they're clearing a bar that we set for them to be here.
Also, Jack, they're not a burden on our system. Actually, in fact, one could argue that immigrants actually save the U.S. on things like education costs.
Oh my god, dude. You're yeah, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
It's so is
How-
all of
how-
your
how was that-
fear
how was that
mongering
sa-
about
Yeah.
immigration.
Look, dude.
Less silly than your fear mongering about immigration.
You live in Seattle, right?
Yeah. but I
What
live-
percentage of the population up there is all about Americana? Probably not a very high percentage. Probably about 30-40% of the population is first generation Chinese who do not respect or care about the future of the United States other than their benefit.
How do you know? How do you
their
know?
benefit, their
First
personal
off-
benefit.
First off,
And I don't blame them. If I were them, I would feel the exact same way. I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that's what it
Rush
is.
Limbaugh
I don't
hadn't been
care.
around for a while. You sound like
dude. Oh my
Listen to
god.
It's just an example. I could say the same thing about anyone. I could say the same thing about most Americans who don't appreciate what they have. But
God,
I'm trying to make a
you're
point.
making it worse.
right. You seem just very bothered by the world and the people in it.
How do you even call yourself a fucking anarchist, man? Okay, open borders. All right. What you want? You want a state
I don't
to
want
dictate
open
where
borders.
people can or can't go? I'm talking to Jack. I'm
Look,
trying-
an ideal of what it should be is not the look. If China had anarchy, they probably wouldn't have decimated their resources because people would die based on their decisions, right?
Well, there were anarchists. They just got killed by the communists.
Well, exactly my point. So now we're back to square one again.
But the point is, okay, immigration does not hurt America. All it does is help us. It helps us financially. It helps us culturally. Like
Help.
it's just
Okay, let's define the term help in this context. How does it help?
it increases the GDP.
How does that help the average American who's not seeing any purchasing power of their dollar go up for the last, I don't know, 40 fucking years?
That's a separate problem from immigration.
No, it's not. It's directly correlated to it. It's directly correlated to it.
Hang on.
With a smaller workforce, you automatically demand higher wages for everybody in that system.
That is very, very economics 101 of you. But
Thank
it is
you.
significantly more complicated than that. There are economics other than 101, and the issue is much more complicated than that. But the point is that immigrants on the whole are
A house cost, I don't know, 10 times what it did 40 years ago, but the purchasing power of my dollar has went up exactly 0%. What problem is there with that? I mean, come on, dude.
Jack, do you have a
can
Xanax
you-
prescription or
Yeah.
any kind of services that you see, like professional therapist?
Jack.
Because you guys are making such ridiculous arguments.
This is
absolutely
mental health
insane.
more than it's political.
No, please.
It's absolutely insane.
I was
And I'm not saying that against you guys, like at a personal level. I'm just saying, like
You have just jumped from what? Like, there's been like 100 issues in this one stream alone that's just worked.
because you guys are not considering any of these issues in your worldview. You're just saying, well, I just want to pick and
have a
choose.
role in how you're feeling about all this stuff and the degree it's affecting.
I feel great today. I feel absolutely. I'm smiling. I'm laughing. This is fun. I'm not upset or angry. This is fun.
Jack, what part of the housing crisis does immigration come in? Because that was I need to know, because you mentioned it and you didn't connect those two things, and I can't.
That's a pretty easy one to figure out, I think. The more people coming to the country, the less houses there are. I mean, like that's kind of really easy.
And at the same time, they're changing the laws and the
But,
insurance
hang on.
requirements and everything else. on top
There's
of it.
already more houses. There's already more houses than people in this country already.
Yeah, there are. Unfortunately, you can't get. Unfortunately, like these stupid major corporations like BlackRock
Are buying them up.
Yeah,
That's not the
and don't let
cause.
anybody
Of
like
we
rent
went
them
through
or
this
buy
the other
them
day.
for,
We
like,
even looked up the
there's-
numbers.
There's a lot of, yes, the housing crisis is actually a very complicated and long thing. But the long and short of it is, it's not because of fucking immigration. Immigration fucking helps our economy. I don't.
Helping the economy is different than helping the individual people who live in a system of the government. That's
It helps
totally
the
different
overall
things.
economy. Yes, it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't.
It helps
necessarily
giant
help.
Okay, let me
It doesn't
translate. It
necessarily-
helps
doesn't
the
necessarily
giant.
help the poor American.
It helps
Yeah.
the giant corporations use people as indentured servants in their schemes. That's what you're
No,
saying.
I do have a problem.
Welcome to
All right,
capitalism.
so you're now you're justifying oligarchy and saying that
I'm
you're a
not-
communist. I mean,
I'm
come
not,
on, dude.
I'm not justifying it.
Y'all
I'm
are
saying-
turning me more toward oligarchy every day.
I'm saying that it. I'm saying
Well,
that it exists.
I
Hang on,
actually-
hang on. But it's
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a separate. That's a separate issue from the like immigration, because like you're saying, oh, we should like limit immigration. Is what you want
Do you
more-
do you think that the average Chinese person is going to come over and say, you know what, I'm an anarcho-communist now? Come on, man.
I don't.
If they
I don't
wanted to do
care.
that, they would do
No,
that back in China.
Jack,
They're not. You know why? Because their government's going to smash them and
Jack,
going to destroy that because they live in an oligarchy worse than we do.
Jack, I
And
don't
and
care.
and
I don't care.
so you don't care if
I
we
don't
live
care.
in another kind of you don't care that we live in an oligarchy and that
If
the
this
people
is
coming in
laughing,
are
it's
going to
really
reinforce
hard
that system.
to see
That's not. I'm saying I don't
anger and
care.
distress.
I don't care if someone comes over here and decides they want to become the next Ayn Rand. Okay, if that's what they want to do with their life and they want to do it as an American, damn, I'll be embarrassed for a second time. But it sucks. They get to be an American just as much as I am. Even more so, arguably, I think immigrants are usually better Americans. They have to fucking work for that shit.
I agree with you on an individual level, but I'm not talking about them as a person. I'm talking about the system that we live in as it serves the people that are living in it.
Well, but then we need to be talking about another system, though, because you're not now you're not talking about immigration. Now you're talking about another system. If you have an issue with immigration,
We're talking about an economic system that is basically controlling people's lives.
and what I'm saying is the solution to stopping the harm is to fix the economic system, not to go in and like
With what leverage and how are you going to convince a bunch of people that don't even speak your language to get on your team and help you change the economic model when the alternative is they get kicked out of this country, go back to where they come from and have no power over there, and then they come here and they're making 10 times more money in a day than they made over there, and you're going to say, oh yeah, let's change the system now, and by the way, you're going to go back to making 10% of what you made, 10% of what you make now, because we need to make this more fair system. Like, that's ridiculous.
I thought we were getting somewhere, and then you just went on a fucking ramble again.
I'm good at pattern recognition. I've already seen the pattern of this.
I know.
conversation.
I'm trying to end the pattern. I'm trying to fucking.
It's not going to end. Like
Chris, I'm not asking you to bail me out, but does anything I'm saying make any sense, or am I just totally off my rocker and I just lost my marbles?
No, I mean, I think some things are making sense. I think you're being a little bit. I still think like I tell you all the time in our our off stream conversations like that. I think to a degree you're focusing on the wrong things. I personally but that's my entire worldview, my worldview and my entire viewpoint and all this stuff is that we can talk to we're blue in the face about all the issues and all the problems, but the only thing we can really do to change anything is to try to build something better and new and something that actually helps people and stop worrying as much about that stuff. If we can notice it all we want, but until we find a way to actually affect it, it's kind of pointless. I mean, I'm not saying there's no point in talking about it at all, but I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And I just feel like, well, why don't we talk about what we can do instead of like all the things that we can't do because how bad the system is. I mean, that's where I come from. I mean, because we had these conversations before, and like I feel like we get lost in these weeds, and it's just like I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I don't think nothing you're saying makes sense. I'm not saying nothing you're saying makes sense. I mean, there has been a lot of jumping around, but it's not like
I'm pointing out the contradiction. Look, you guys are thinking that I'm attacking your worldview. I'm pointing out the contradictions in your own worldview.
You're not attacking my worldview at all.
No, I'm talking about Lib and Jeff. Yeah, I'm pointing out the contradictions in your priorities, right? Like you're like, oh, I want this, I want that, but it's like, what you're asking for is not going to be possible by saying, "Oh, well, illegal immigration helps the United States economy." Okay, well, for for the way that you want to see America go, it's not going to help America go in that direction at all, right? Like you're basically begging for the exact thing that's going to make what you want to see happen impossible, right? So I'm just saying.
Are you saying are you implying there's gonna be like some race war because of
No, I'm not.
No,
You guys,
I don't think
I'm
so
not
at
even
all.
You guys are making it like I'm anti-immigrant. I'm not. I'm not. What I'm saying is
sound like it.
You sure sound like it.
This is
Goddamn.
not anti-immigrant.
not as an individual person. I'm just saying, like, okay, if I want America
From
to
a bigger
to
perspective,
stand,
yeah, you're looking at
yeah,
it you're looking at it from a
if-
bigger
if-
like a bigger.
if I want-
I help America go the direction I want to go with my vote every election cycle, and then the representatives I elect, I depend on them to take it in that direction. That's how.
so you don't, but you don't take into account the way the economic model is basically set up to give
I don't
you.
worry about economics at all.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I'm definitely in the wrong place to have
Way
this conversation.
way
Then.
out of my interest range and expertise, everything.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
well-
like an expert economist. I do have, I think, like preferences for economic policy, but like, it's just you can get across what you're saying, and also not sound like a nut job because I'm
No,
sitting
not
here-
really. I mean, not
I'm
really.
sitting here and like agreeing with you, but then also agreeing with Jeff, and so I don't understand why you're like refusing to like I don't know. I get it's not even take the L. It's just like there's no L to take. You just the system is the way it is, and there are solutions to it, and you were pointing out a potential problem, but then not pointing at the correct solution.
Well, we have to see what we're looking at before we can start looking at solutions, right? So if we're not on the same page of what we're looking at, then I
No,
can't
because
really point to solutions.
you've looked at 100 different things so far.
Yeah,
today.
and also some of the things that you looked at aren't even like actual. Okay, just people from China coming over here, it just isn't a problem. That's not a problem. It's about as much of a problem as people from from Ireland coming over. in the
Okay,
States.
okay, sure.
That's about as much of a problem, which
Sure.
is the only problems that are created by Americans.
And the
who
Chinese
are
have better
fucking-
food.
Well, I don't know if you guys realize it or not, but most of the people who come over here and don't speak English and don't have any investment in the system are getting propagandized by
also
other people who speak Chinese and are trying to tell them what to do and what to vote for. You know what I mean? So
Wait, hang on. No, but that okay. This is
See, it's
dude.
oh god. Okay,
dude,
I'm
this
gonna have
is-
to put it into this soon.
and look, and
I'll
you
do
can say,
another break. I'll be right back.
I even looked this up. It wasn't dude, it was like a previous Chinese citizen who was being pressured into doing like corporate espionage. Like they weren't stealing American secrets. Like it's
Well,
bad, and there were consequences. He got caught because
they have caught this year at least 2 Chinese spies in the military. But again, that's all a side point. It's not my main point.
I do not believe. I have not seen convincing evidence of that. I have.
Well, it was in the news. It was pretty big news. But yeah, it's fine.
Wait, hang on. It was in the news. Who? Like, where?
I don't know, CNN or Fox or something. I'm sure if you type it in. But again, it's totally not my main point. My point is, if we're not able to get Americans who are here and from here to participate in the system and get on a better standing of comprehending manufacturing consent, and we bring a bunch of other people in who are totally unable to even comprehend what's going on here in this country,
then get good.
it's going to get it gets exponentially harder because now you're dealing with a different set of people, a different set of values, a different set of pressure upon them because what they came from and how good it is here makes them so much less likely to risk what they have here. See what I'm saying? Like if people who are from here care about it because they're invested and they have a historical and a familial, and they have a whatever. Again, this is not xenophobia. I'm just saying, like, if I go to
Well,
China
I
and I
can't
try to
tell the
change things,
difference.
Yeah, Jack.
and
It looks like
if,
we got our work cut out for us then. But that
Oh,
sucks.
but I'm not.
exactly right.
I'm doing my puzzle. Y'all enjoy.
Okay. I appreciate it. No, Jeff, I'm sorry, and I do apologize. Like, I know that I'm being a dick, but I'm really trying to get a very hard point across to you guys, and I really feel strongly that it's
You
a.
honestly just with all the jumping around alone lost me. My little autistic brain cannot keep up, and I don't. I see it more. I'm looking at it more from a mental health lens. So like, I hope you have some good self care.
Are you saying you're gonna 5150 me, Jeff? If you did, though, if you did, you would, right?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think you need it.
I appreciate that. Okay.
You're not that crazy.
Go ahead.
You're not a tanky. You're not an ANCAP.
Yeah, I'm not a real ANCAP, honestly. Go ahead. Sorry I interrupted you guys. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. It just
Yeah. I mean,
and
I
get where you guys are coming from. I really do.
I don't disagree with everything you're saying either, Jack. I mean, I haven't really heard anything I've hardcore disagreed with this whole time. I mean, I've chimed in with like the few things like I had to add. I mean, I think it's been a pretty good discussion, to be honest. I mean, everybody's made pretty good points on either side. It's just that complicated of an. These are just issues that are that complicated where all three of you can be making different and fully valid points and not really invalidate the other person's points because of how complicated the situation is. I mean, it's like everybody can be right and wrong at the same time about some of this stuff, depending on where you want to put your focus when we're talking about the entire country. You know,
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
If you want to put your binoculars, you want to put your microscope on any one little aspect, you can find tons of areas where any one of the things that the three of you said is absolutely right, and other places where it's wrong. But at the same, or at least from my perspective, I mean, I'm not that I'm any expert, but I mean, these are just like we're talking about whole country. We're talking about the whole country, and like the whole country is just that's the reason why I kind of get to some degree. I mean, I kind of get the same way Jeff does. Like I have almost trouble focusing on it because I can't really, I can't be responsible for an entire nation. I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't have that ability in me. I don't know how to solve the entire country problems and stuff like that. I have like my own theories and stuff like that, but my theories are almost all kind of too like they're all too soft and squishy to probably get much traction. To be honest, I believe in like changing the world through art and stuff. I'm like a freaking hippie basically. So I mean, I'm not like I have my. I also think that any system like like the ones that like you guys talk about like I was thinking about this the other day. When it comes to like communism, socialism, any kind of like or anarcho-communism, things like this. I think some of the problems with those kind of systems is that they are ultimately far too utopian and not just because utopianism doesn't work, but because I don't think that human progress and human survival depends to some degree on conflict, and I don't like that about human nature and everything. But I think conflict and friction are necessary for growth and for change and for any kind of thing like so. Any system that is dreaming of a world that has no war, that has no anything like that in it, is ultimately one that's not going. That even if it were possible, it would be one that would probably kill all of humanity. Humanity would just kind of die because without any kind of conflict or challenge to overcome, I don't think people would just kind of give up. They wouldn't just be happy. They would start looking for fights. They would start looking for people will always be drawn to some kind of conflict. Just look at all the drama streams. Look at the streams on just our little like tiny little world here. The most popular ones are the ones where they have the most hardcore trolls that go on there and get everybody all riled up and antagonize everybody. And those are the ones that get all the views and all the stuff like that because people just fucking love that drama, man. They just can't get enough of it. People are drawn to conflict, and the conflict sometimes has a purpose. It does sharpen ideas. It sharpens viewpoints and creates new ideas. And I think that any world that we're dreaming of that is ultimately devoid of conflict or devoid of any kind of hierarchies, devoid of any kind of issues like that, is one that is, even if it were possible, and I don't think it is one that's destined to create stagnation and probably eventually, I think it would basically create an entire world of impotent people that would just and we would just die out. I know that that's a black pill take maybe, but I see the world like that the duality between the darkness and light type thing it's essential for not just human existence but human growth, and without growth we die.
For what it's worth, I don't think that anarchy or communism necessitates zero conflict. I think conflict is pretty integral to human nature. I just think we have better ways of.
I mean, I do too. I mean, I want
Yeah.
see like the thing. I want that world. You don't give
I
me.
mean, that's
Let me make sure that's clear. I want that world. I just don't. I think that
This is the same thing I have with Talcott. I want his world too, but I don't think it's realistic. I don't think that's how humans work. I have the same conversation with Talcott.
Yeah, I did too. I had a very recently had the same conversation with Talcott. Yeah. I think that his world sounds like a beautiful dream that I just I'm just like, but dude, but you don't even have the first idea of where to even start. At least like my vision for the world, if it was even if it's even plausible, and I don't know that it is either, but at least my vision world has a first step to it. At least I know a practical place to start. At least I know a practical way to start and try to start to stepping before that. His first place to start is that everyone just needs to have more gratitude, man. And I'm just like,
no,
what?
I do think the first step is creating and participating in local communities. I think that's
my life's goal. That's my life's purpose.
I was that's not even like I don't even think that's like a step to anarchy. I think that's just that is where society will need to go to survive. Is people will need to go back to sort of local communities to have those local communities.
It doesn't necessarily go back to them necessarily. I don't think it needs to go back to the local communities or just smaller. They can be online. They can be they can be spread over the world. But it's about.
I mean, I think it's important to emphasize.
IRL ones are great too. I'm a big proponent of IRL communities and stuff like that. I'm trying to start something that's IRL right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm all for it, but.
And just to be clear, I'm not anti-conflict either. I'm just saying, let's have better justification for our conflicts. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at, right? Let's have a better way of qualifying our conflicts and saying this is just and this isn't, right?
Today it sucked. This was a horrible way to do that.
Oh, come on. I was giving you guys conflict content. Come on, guys.
Well, yeah, conflict content for sure, but it didn't get closer to the goal of a better way to have this conversation.
It did, because I saw it at the end.
This is the most confusing conversation I've ever had with you.
Yeah.
I can't fix everything at the end, so it's fine.
That's a bold one. So, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty bad. That's a scathing review. I appreciate that.
Away from it you've ever been.
I disagree. I don't think Jack was that far off. I think, like I said, I think all of you guys are talking about such a big issue that and all of your focuses are in different areas, and therefore
the problem is we were trying to talk about a small issue, but Jack's initial hang-up is a bigger one which I share, but not, I think, in the way that.
Well, you guys were focused on something smaller. He was talking about big picture stuff, and that's where it was getting off.
It did start as the small one.
It did start. It might have started that way. It might have started that way, but I mean, what? We started talking about election interference. That's not a small thing.
No, it's not.
But it's a specific thing.
Hi, Patty.
And it's also, I think, smaller than what I think it was.
Oh, Patty's here. Hey, Patty.
Yeah, Patty's somewhere in time, but hi to both of you guys. Sorry, I didn't even. I hadn't been paying attention to the chat.
Because as we did determine, Jack, that's our whole thing, is we agree on that common anxiety, oh fuck, our democracy needs improvement. I think our democracy is still at a salvageable point. Not even just
I do too.
And just for the record, I do too. I actually do. That's why I'm so concerned, is because I think that it may be salvageable for not very much longer. Is kind of
one of the reasons why it is currently salvageable is because we have A and only A, we have the bureaucratic state, which is basically the reason why our government survived is because we had most of the state is like bureaucrats that are appointed
See,
that aren't adherent to
Oh Lord.
as much, at least.
well, see, here's the thing. I just want to point out one thing really quick. You're actually
Yeah,
making my larger point for me, which is that our government is not really run by our elected officials. It's run by a.
You
Bureaucrats.
don't know that. That's a conspiracy.
That's
Well,
not a
no,
conspiracy.
It's not conspiracy. It's saying that like
Take that up with Lib. He just made my argument for me. So
To say that they're not run by the elected officials, how do you know that?
well, no, sorry, and also I don't know if I guess it didn't come across. I think that's a positive. I think it is a positive that our bureaucratic state, the actual like day-to-day runnings of the state, are not run.
Well, I
by
guess that's what you mean by running. The elected officials are the ultimate decision makers, and
Yeah.
that's where the accountability and
Accountability,
responsibility
yeah.
lies.
like
allegedly,
but like the actual people who do the actual work. The
I
people
mean,
who
when
file
you
the
when you're
thing.
elected official, someone like Biden, I mean, you could tell him that like to sign a bill that says the sky is purple, and he'd do it though. I mean, it's not really
I
matter.
mean, yeah, but
Well, I think even that's an exaggeration. But
yeah, it's a bit of an exaggeration.
That was
My-
hyperbole. That was
my
hyperbole.
point-
Yes.
that's what
point,
exaggeration is.
my point
Yeah,
was
I know.
that our election is run by our federal government, and our federal government, outside of the elected officials, the actual like the bureaucracy, all that stuff, is actually a really robust system. And
and
that's
an
kind of what I like.
extremely complex system that you basically need an AI to run. But yeah,
I mean, yes,
and the
obviously,
fact that we joke
use-
about our president, and the fact that we joke that our president, doesn't, might believe that the sky is purple, doesn't give credence to my arguments whatsoever. I mean, I just want to point that out really quick.
I mean, yeah, like but what I'm pointing out is that the bureaucracy, that like sort of unelected, I guess in this case I'm using that as a weirdly positive moniker. This section that like runs our government will always run, unless you have someone like, I don't know, fully implement Project 2025 to completely fuck it up.
Or your electronic systems get messed with somehow, by accident or on purpose. I mean,
Well, what I'm talking about is actually something that's more likely to happen, because mine is a bunch of people going through a bunch of legal processes, whereas yours is like, yes, a misnomer
that's
has to
why-
actually
but that-
happen.
but that's why I suggested that people go and get involved in like a legal sense, because the alternative is not going to be very good, in my opinion.
Sure.
Right? Like,
My point being
yeah.
that our election system is actually quite robust and quite nonpartisan. The actual like election system itself.
Well, I think what you're really saying is that they're not very relevant, because the bureaucracy is actually what's holding things together, which I would agree with, and I think that's kind of like you don't see it as a problem.
It's a
you see it as
positive and a
problem.
negative at the same time.
Correct. I agree, and I agree. I think that I'm just saying, like, there is a dark side to that we have to be cognizant of.
Yeah, there are issues with bureaucracies. However,
the beer hall putsch is a great example of that. If you don't know what I mean, right? So
no. I do know what you mean. I do understand that like that kind of stuff is a problem. However, in our system specifically, it seems like the bureaucracy serves the interests of the people more often than it doesn't. That our bureaucracy actually is pretty neat.
I do agree. I just want to point out, I do agree, but I think that you could use the French Revolution as an example of how it could go the other way. And I think on another level, I'll say this: what is the fourth branch of government? Don't they say that's like the media, right?
The fourth estate, yeah, the media's fourth.
Jack, you
Right.
sound really far away, or you're low on my end.
He's driving again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can always tell when Jack's driving because I can hear the car going vroom vroom.
Yeah, I mean, Sure, like it's basically a fourth branch of government. That's fine, though. I'm actually kind of fine with it because the vast majority of that bureaucracy is made up of like just normal people, like
Well,
average.
when it's made up of
everyday
AI,
Yeah,
when it's
I
average.
wouldn't go that far. There's a lot
My,
of
my
there's a lot of
experience with
elitism in media.
bureaucracies has been mostly negative.
There's a lot of elitism in media right now. A lot of like, you know.
No. In
Well-
media, I'm talking about in the bureaucracy of the government, as in like
Oh,
you
okay.
have like I mean, that's like your county clerks. No, they're elected
Yeah.
actually. You have the actual clerks in the county, the
Yeah,
people who
yeah,
are
yeah.
actually the clerks.
Yeah.
Those are people with a 9 to 5 who are just basically average everyday, and that's the vast majority of the population of the quote unquote bureaucracy is just people working fucking shitty jobs.
I agree, but here's the thing though. When those jobs are getting replaced with ago, that is a very real danger, and that's kind of why I'm trying to say like we should appreciate what we have now because the alternative of where we're going is not going to be what you're talking about, right?
Well, I mean,
and I think that's something that we need to kind of like be aware of, in my opinion, right?
yeah, sure. Like we do have to treasure our democracy. We have to protect it, and I think, particularly today, I think it's important that we make note of history and keep that in mind moving forward to prevent any degradation of our democracy. But our democracy is, for now, decent. Like it's definitely not perfect. You can understand from my perspective, I'm sitting here about to fucking go campaign for somebody who I know I'm not going to vote for.
Right. Who are you going to vote for?
Biden.
Yeah. If he's on the ballot, or whoever the Democrats run. I mean, I guess not whoever, but like, it'll probably be some, like, if Biden gets off the ballot, they will put someone equally despicable, but equally unfortunately
Come on now.
gonna swallow.
I'm going to vote third party. I am. I don't give a shit. I'm going to vote third party. I don't give a shit. I do believe in voting enough that I believe that that I don't believe in making a vote for like this practical kind of like as though my vote for a third party system is somehow going to throw the election to Trump or something like that. I on principle. I simply cannot justify giving a vote for Trump or Biden or Kamala Harris.
My issue is that like I'm in a quote unquote safe state, but like the way states become not safe is by everyone thinking that it's a safe state and then not voting, and I don't know, kind of worried about that and like what voting third party will do. I mean, I'm definitely gonna advocate, like, if you're gonna help a campaign, because that'd be sick, that'd be awesome, but I'm just not.
I'm sorry. I feel like a vote for Biden is like a vote for senility.
I mean, yeah, sure. Like, but like the thing is, if it's if the two options are Donald Trump and Joseph Biden.
Well, don't worry. There's no secret military continuity of government or corporate board that's running the country, so you can be safe that either way, Biden is better than Trump. There's
just like South Park said back in the day, it's a choice between a turd sandwich and what was it, a shit sundae and a turd sandwich. I was like,
well, my point is, I'm going to get off here, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, the fact
but this
that
time you actually have to eat it.
Yeah.
Well, the point is, like, you're worried that Trump might do something erratic or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if you're not equally as concerned with that, you probably have someone who's not actually sitting in the seat of power. I mean, it kind of, I don't know if you actually believe that or you're just kind of like not wanting to admit it, but I mean,
I'm not so much worried about Trump as I am the Republican Party broadly. They worry me more than Trump. Trump's a fucking
What are you worried? Like, what's your big fear? Insurrection?
My worry, actually, no. I mean, I am worried that that's going to become like the norm. I would prefer if we didn't have a Jan 6 every election. Just my opinion. But even if it was like a failure every time, I don't like that they get to take the shot. Bless you.
Well, it's either a Jan 6 every election or a Russiagate every election at this point. So I mean,
I don't want either of them. Fuck that shit.
I know. At least Jan 6 only took place for one day, even though we've heard about it forever. But Russiagate like literally lasted an entire 4 years.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Republican Party broadly, basically gaining any amount of advantage, and their stated goal, which is to like tear apart. I mean, Project 2025 specifically wants to basically concentrate power in the executive, basically reduce the size of the bureaucratic state to add to the executive powers, basically, to try and, the idea is like, if they can supercharge all of these authorities within the president and then get the president a few times.
Trump tried that too.
Well, yeah, but like this time it's like the
so
Republican
did Obama.
Party.
So did Biden. Obama expanded presidential powers quite a bit himself. He did,
but he didn't. The issue is taking things that are under the jurisdiction of the bureaucracy and lumping them under the power of the executive. That gives the executive a lot of staying power. Removing.
Do you not have faith in our checks and balances?
Not if they gain enough of an advantage, they can. The conservative court, first off, they have that. It's not firm, but it leans conservative enough to worry me. Again, we're just talking about worry.
So you don't trust Republicans to respect the current system? Because I watched
I don't.
Colorado court go outside, like break the legal norms to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. I'm more worried about stuff like that because they're the ones actually going.
Oh no, I mean, I also don't like that. Like, I'm not a fan of that. But like, the problem is that's not like a desire to destroy the Department of Education. Like, I feel like dissolving the Department of Education is more damaging than the Colorado court.
That's not an end of the world thing because most education is more effective at the local level anyway.
Okay, but the problem is, like Republicans are wont to do, what they're going to do is just dissolve it and not put anything in place to like stopgap that, and then we're going to have a fucking even a worse of an education.
Well, I mean, look.
So do you not trust the states then to?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Remember when Trump got elected and he put, I can't remember the dude's name, but he got put in charge of the Department of Energy.
The big state.
He got put in charge of the Department of Energy, and he said he was going to dissolve the Department of Energy right away. That's what he said he was going to do. Did that happen? No. No one's. I mean, like they threaten this kind of shit all the time. It's just extremist rhetoric trying to push their Overton window the other direction.
In fact, I mean, yeah, sure, but like, I don't really want to bet on that. Like, if we could avoid, I'd rather not bet that it's all talk and bluster.
Yeah, I just trust the Democrats less right now because of what I've actually seen them do.
Oh, I mean, I don't trust the Democrats either. Like, I fucking hate the Democrats. But the Democrats, first off, are very, very wildly incompetent. I mean, I
guess the Republicans are much better on that one.
As are Republicans, but the Democrats don't do like world-ending shit. They do bad. They'll do bad shit, but it won't be like.
I don't think Republicans do world-ending shit either.
I mean, they want to is the problem, and I don't want
the Department of Education. I don't think it's world-ending.
I think that's kind of world-ending. I do.
Well, yeah, because you don't trust the states to do education.
I think you're kind of making my argument for me in a way. Like, you're talking about how they're manufacturing consent on your side, and I'm talking about it from a relatively right-wing people. But it's all.
I agree, Patty.
Right, like it's. We're talking about it from different angles, but I look at it as a more Discordian thing, like where
it's
Oh
not
yeah,
as
you'll never guess who lobbied for Citizens United. Koch brothers. I mean, what? Right wing demagogues?
Yeah, no, I think
Hey,
that's
I
the best.
know.
I think it should
I
be
think it's
reversed at some point.
I think everybody on this panel hates Republicans and Democrats pretty much equally. Nobody
No,
here
not
likes
me,
Republicans.
not me, not equally. No.
Okay, well, I do.
My
I think
bias
they're
is
both. I think they're both bad.
pro-Republican against Democrats because of what I've seen them do since Donald Trump got in power. They lost their minds and they threw all standards and responsibility out the window.
I hate both of them, but the recent Israel-Palestine stuff basically, I think, made me hate Democrats more. I don't like Republicans more. I just hate the Democrats more.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Democrats are definitely more hypocrites than they're more hypocrites and more underhanded because like they say one thing and they do another a lot more than the conservative party. At least they might stand a bunch of repugnant shit, but at least they say it out loud. At least it's the devil
back,
you know.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. How's it going, Chuck? Man?
What's up?
Sorry, I had to bug out real quick. I forgot I had a teledoc appointment.
Oh, hey, no worries. I had one of those. I had one of those before too. So,
how'd it go? Everything okay?
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Just a usual check-in. Make sure everybody's still kicking.
What did you think of everything, Chuck?
What do I think about what?
The stream today.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, if you disregard the man, his personality, Trump.
You mean the loser president?
He tried to. Well, he was president once.
He was, and then he lost another election.
Well, that's debatable.
Is it? Is it?
Yes, it is.
We've already we spent all day trying to.
Yeah, let's not get back into that.
Yeah, we won't. It is what it is, But if you disregard him on a personal level, the things he was trying to do were good for the whole of the country. Some of the things were really good.
Oh, was he? Oh wait, was he trying to raise the minimum wage?
I sure liked his anti-wokeness act. I'll tell you that. I know he didn't write it, but
was he? Was he trying to give money to single moms and babies?
For what purpose?
Well, he did with the stimulus thing. I mean,
you just have different values and different moral foundations. So
yeah, I like it when good things happen, and I think Chuck probably
good according to your moral foundations.
Sorry. I like it when people are not starving and have places to live.
And look at how Biden kept the little thing they had for the little tiny stimulus thing they were giving to people with kids for child. Look how well he kept that going.
Yeah, no, they got rid of that immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like they're both just as bad. I mean, like you can't like sit there and say like, well, Trump didn't do anything. Like, I mean, he did do the stimulus thing. He did that. I mean, he's more responsible with stimulus money than Biden was.
Biden got stingy. Yeah,
late.
You're right.
He did that late. He also did Operation Warp Storm. All right, he got that whole vaccine roll, and you vax, Chuck. You double vax. You got your quad vax.
I am, and it ruined my fucking life. So Well,
but Trump made it. Trump made your vaccine for you, and he gave it to you for free, Chuck.
No, he didn't.
Why didn't
He didn't make
the vaccine was made under Trump.
That was what the Operation Warp Storm was, Chuck.
He didn't make it though.
No, he didn't. No, he did.
He had to rely on the people he had working for him.
Yeah,
if they lied to him, what was he supposed to do if he didn't know they were lying?
I probably would not have taken it if he made it.
Hang on, Chuck.
But, if Trump had made it himself, I definitely would have taken it.
Definitely. I love injecting bleach directly into my veins.
Well, it worked.
Well,
I mean, look how white Chris is. It worked.
Well, Chris got permanent vertigo from those vaccines, so Chris doesn't have a very high opinion of
I got a question. So if Trump can't be held responsible for Operation Warp Storm, then
I
Warp speed. Warp speed.
didn't say he couldn't be held
Warp
responsible.
Storm sounds cooler.
Warp Storm
then-
sounds cooler. Okay.
Warp Storm sounds cooler. They should have named it Warp Storm. Trump should have hired me in his marketing campaign. I would have done a great job.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Warp Storm does sound cooler. Yeah.
I would have done way more of the. I would have done way better Nazi edits for Trump than that dumbasses did for DeSantis.
that was so cringe.
I love it. Happened multiple times. That's the best part.
So cringe.
It happened twice.
And honestly, like DeSantis, I didn't care for him that much either. He hadn't really done anything that was particularly Nazi-ish before that. It was just
he just the problem, he attracts not like
yeah, I know.
I don't know. Of the Republican politicians, who would an average neo-Nazi go for? I mean, neo-Nazis.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really support anything that's all that neo-Nazi either.
No, neo-Nazis are terminally online though, and like that's kind of where DeSantis first really took off, was like in online circles and stuff.
They're also a fringe minority. I don't worry about
that.
No.
I mean, I do think it's funny that two times neo-Nazis got hired onto DeSantis' campaign, and they made 2 separate campaign videos with Nazi shit in it, and it happened twice. Like one time.
What was the? I didn't even hear about this.
Oh,
it happened. It didn't say the Nazi storyline.
Ooh, Talcott screaming.
It's almost nothing. Like I'm talking it up, but like it's not really anything.
So
it's just kind of something. It's something to be joke. It's just something to joke about. It's just because it was funny.
Yeah. You wouldn't have to be terminally online. You just have to probably have paid attention a little bit to the DeSantis campaign, because it was like they put out videos, and then in those campaign videos there would be like either dog whistling references or actual like some, I think they had a
they might not have been intentional.
Out of curiosity, I probably shouldn't do this to myself, but what was one of the dog whistles?
Yeah, it was like a black sun.
A what?
Have you seen? Is that what it's called? A black sun? Hang on.
Yeah, it's an old Nazi symbol. I mean, it was very bad optics.
Yeah, the black sun is a type of sun wheel symbol originating in Nazi Germany and later employed by neo-Nazis and other far-right. It's like a
clip with Nazi symbol. Okay.
Yeah. And it's specifically that like someone on his campaign shared that video.
And they could have just been trolling. They don't even actually have to have been a Nazi.
Yeah. No, yeah, it absolutely.
No, they don't. I
don't think DeSantis is secretly a Nazi or anything. I just think
I don't think
bad optics.
I do think that it's very likely that a Nazi probably got on the DeSantis campaign, and
it could have just been an idiot too. I mean, I still think
like, I don't know.
This is a good example though of how social media, like all media in the past, but I think social media is just.
I mean,
the opportunities are more there. How it fuels fear and paranoia. I mean, we saw it today with Jack. We're seeing it with the Nazi symbol.
Well, but hang on.
People see little things and freak out.
It's not a little thing. It's not like the OK symbol. Like the black sun is a pretty. Clear
it's little insignificance. I wouldn't talk about the physical size of it. I'm just saying it's little insignificance.
I mean, he put it. He was part of the president.
My point is, people see things. There's more things because the major media stations, the chance that propaganda would show up was less because it was more like regulated. But now the opportunity to see propaganda is everywhere, like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And you see little pieces of propaganda and your brain freaks out and you start spinning all these narratives. I think that's what's new. I don't think the medium is that new, but I think that's what's new about the scale of
the news story is it wasn't just anyone who was promoting a Nazi DeSantis fan video. It was someone on the DeSantis team via the DeSantis like official Twitter was boosting the video. So
the officialness of it gave it legitimacy that added to people's fear and paranoia.
Yeah, well, that's why they got fired.
Did you see it, Jeff?
I just looked it up just now. I saw it. It's like a red and orange symbol.
It's not that bad.
I haven't seen it.
It's not that bad. It was just really bad optics.
I can share it. Hang on.
Yeah, they like it was stupid. idiot who did it, because like I don't know, it's
Here,
Yeah,
if this is what he's even talking about.
if you look at my icon, it's just propaganda.
This thing,
Tennessee for Trump.
yeah, the black sun, yeah,
the red and
Yeah.
orange black thing.
yeah.
And you got to admit, just that
Uh-huh.
image itself,
Like-
itself does look.
Yeah, this
awfully-
does look like very militaristic, just in and of
Yeah.
itself,
It
without
looks
even knowing
pretty
what this is.
It looks
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Let me see your thing, your propaganda. Let's see, Tennessee for Trump.
I mean, it was already
Is that the Tennessee flag with the
yeah,
3
that's the-
stars?
Yeah, with the 3 stars. Yeah,
It is not a Confederate flag. No,
no,
I've
it
had
is
people
not.
ask. I'm from Tennessee, so
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know.
What part?
oh, you hate it. I'm from Memphis.
Oh, okay. You're way west.
Yeah. Though I
Oh,
lived
he's
most of the
cool.
time outside of Memphis. I lived like east of Memphis, out in like the like Fayetteville County and stuff, or
Yeah,
County. Yeah.
Fayetteville, that's
originally-
Arkansas, isn't it?
I'm
There's a Fayetteville in
originally
Arkansas. There's a Fayetteville County in Tennessee.
Ah, I didn't know.
I'm
that.
originally from St. Louis area. I just moved here 4 years ago.
Yeah, Tennessee's nice. Or you're in the eastern part, right? Like the Appalachia.
No, I'm in the west central. I'm about 45 miles from Jackson, east of Jackson.
Oh, I love that area. I loved driving up.
Is that where the mountains are?
No,
Well,
it's just
There's
it's like,
hills. There's no mountains, but there's some big
I love
hills.
the, Tennessee mountains.
I'm about a
hills.
mile and a half from the Tennessee River.
it's just a really nice rural area. Like there's enough near you that like, it's like, oh, if you need to go somewhere like to a city, you're only like an hour and a half away. But there's like just beautiful rural areas everywhere,
That's where I
even
wanna
in like
be.
towns. It's great. Actually,
Yep.
unironically, like West Central Tennessee, that's where you want to be.
It's
Honestly,
beautiful.
Dallas is like that too. Like you can drive in parts of Dallas and some of the outlying areas that you'll be like, one second you'll be in like this really suburban like shopping mall thing, but if you just take the road down past that shopping mall, you'll be in like what looks like rural East Texas like instantly, and you're just like, what the hell happened to the city? It's all gone. It's crazy.
Well, Chris, I do like what your governor just did recently.
With the DE
Getting rid of the DAI thing with the colleges, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that was definitely a good one on his part. I had not come to expect much from him, and he did one good thing there. So yeah, but I mean, I guess Florida did the same thing. Getting rid of DEI departments at college, getting rid of DEI departments at colleges is a very good idea. There does not need to be a regulatory.
Yeah, in fact, I had a tweet I wanted to share earlier exactly about that. This is a good reason why. Let me find it. This is from the DEI officer at Johns Hopkins. She just sent out this list. Come on. There she is. And it is all about diversity, word of the month, privilege.
Oh,
These are all the United States privilege is granted to people who have membership in one or more of these social identity groups. So she is telling you, if you're these categories, you have privilege: white, able-bodied, heterosexual, cisgender, male, Christian, middle or only class, middle-aged, English-speaking.
Listen to her.
Privilege is characteristically invisible to people who have it. People in dominant groups often believe, she's telling me what I believe, they have earned the privileges they enjoy, or that everyone could have access to these privileges if only they work to earn them. In fact, privileges are unearned and are granted to people in the dominant groups, whether they want those privileges or not, and regardless of their stated intent. So she's imposing privilege on us, and this is divisive.
yes, it is. Because
I'm so happy that I wish other states. That means Louisiana probably may follow. They usually tend to cluster together. I'm so glad. I wish more states would get rid of this crap.
Yeah, that's just that woke agenda crap.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, what does woke mean?
Which one didn't you check, Reddington? Yeah, go ahead.
What does
Chuck.
it mean?
Yeah.
It means exactly what that lady's doing. It means trying to.
No, Chuck. Sorry. I guess I should be more clear. Define woke. Don't just gesture broadly.
It's the ideology that everything that people think means something. That if I don't like something about you, therefore it becomes an agenda. It makes no sense.
I would say that what you just described doesn't make any sense.
I got it.
Well,
I think he's talking-
No, I
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
we're
think.
yeah, they see power differentials everywhere. Everything's power. Like power is the dominant lens through which they view everything, and oppressor oppressed categories.
Yeah.
So you either have power, you're a victim of someone else's power, and every single thing, like would just Chuck say, every single thing is read as power. Either the expression of power or the experience of somebody else's power. If you're not the one with the power.
Okay, I don't like gay people, therefore I'm pushing power over gay people, and you reverse the role. I don't like straight people, therefore I'm trying to impose power over straight people.
so woke is when gay people oppress straight people.
No, that's
It
not what
go-
you're saying.
No,
I
In
mean,
fact,
right now,
we asked the AI this the other day, and it gave us a good breakdown.
You should have been here the other day. We were talking to the AI about clowns, and we very easily got the AI to justify blackface because we said that having clowns with white faces only was racist.
True,
Yeah.
true and valid. Clowns are white-faced, meaning
It was hilarious.
Blackface.
And there's an activist component to theology as well. So it's not just seeing people in terms of the categories of oppressor oppressed and identifying perceived power differentials. It's actively taking steps to dismantle that.
and that's basically what.
And then
I
identity
said.
politics too. It's putting the group identity over the individual. Like the group characteristic is more important than individual character, personality, thought, belief, etc.
Okay.
It privileges the group over the individual.
And are both components necessary for something to be woke? Does it need to? You need to both have the worldview in which you view through power differentials, and also
No, just one for me personally. One is enough. If somebody's using oppressor like lens, that's enough for me to think that they're woke. Or if they're putting the group over the individual, that alone is enough. Or if they're trying to dismantle perceived systems of oppression, any one of those is enough for me.
Okay.
I don't
Then
think
you
there's anything wrong with putting the needs of a group of an individual in every single situation. There are
Not
certain
the
times
need of they put the relevant the group characteristic has your white skin has more relevance than you
Than your
create.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
That's what
The salience of the characteristic gets reversed.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, while I wish that identity politics wasn't that, it wasn't always this. That is basically how identity politics is used in the modern day. Is to prioritize the individual over.
Yeah, like this lady's doing right here.
Prioritize the group over the individual. That's what.
Yes. Yeah. The group over the individual, which the group over a identity over.
I think that's
Or an
progressive.
identity. Yeah, that's even better.
progressive.
An identity over an individual. Yeah, that's actually much more accurate. Yeah, that's very much more accurate.
Then under your description, I am woke.
Yeah, well,
You
prioritize.
prioritize.
Oddly enough, we like
identity.
you anyway.
Oh no, I was saying off the first one because I do actually use power, like the perspective of viewing the world through. That's half of fucking Marxism.
But then Jack was kind of doing that today too, a little bit. Like
it's just important to know
from what.
Yeah, it's important to know when not to use that lens because that is an important lens, but it's not the only lens through which to view
I
the
agree.
world.
I agree. There are times where it's important to consider the needs of the many over the needs of the few. I'm
not
even
Star
Trek.
But that's different than group identity.
But identity is different. Like I'm talking about like the idea of like like power politics, like the idea of like viewing
like billionaires versus.
well, I mean that's one of them, but like viewing history or society as opposing forces and stuff like that is a useful lens. It's just you have to know when to put on a different lens, right? Like these are lenses with which to view things. They help us to gain knowledge and understanding. They're not like
I don't know if they. I don't know how helpful that lens is in gaining knowledge and understanding of what.
Of like class conflict. Yeah, it's actually vitally important.
Well, if it's class conflict, like why don't they focus on class conflict? They probably have more coherence. Although Occupy did try that and didn't get very far.
I mean, there are people who do there are whole classes of philosophers who focus almost exclusively on class conflict. A lot of them are old and dead. But there are some.
Do you see a return to class conflict as the dominant lens rather than race, gender, sexuality, et cetera, et cetera?
I do. I think that's kind of that's the point at which capitalism always sort of adheres to. Basically, like, so if you view capitalism as like a pendulum, right? At the bottom of the pendulum is where you have a series of material circumstances aligning to where you have real, genuine class conflict. And capitalism swings on this pendulum, and sometimes things line up and you have actual class conflict. And that's when you've seen in history actual progress. That's, in the early Industrial Revolution, that's where you saw the labor strikes over here in the United States. Was when you had sort of that coalition of class consciousness where people came together and did a class warfare. The labor strikes were class warfare.
It was working class versus the owners of the means of production.
Yes. And that's how we improved capitalism, was via that class warfare. That class warfare is the reason why we have 40-hour work weeks. They're the reason why we have weekends. Like they're the reasons why the minimum wage exists. Those kinds of things are necessary to push capitalism forward. So
it's like, okay, so it sounds like just continue to perfect capitalism then.
Well, I mean, there will come a time when the contradictions of capitalism will destroy.
How do you know this? That sounds like future.
I'll tell you. I think monopoly is what kills it.
Because that's the for a couple reasons. A, because nothing. That's assuming that things are like inherent or immortal, or like capitalism is just one in a line of many systems that have been tried throughout human history. Eventually, it will change and become something else. It's kind of
that's just an assumption. Maybe it won't. Like, yeah, it'll improve itself, but that's just an assumption.
I mean, the thing is, in the future, what we think of as, I guess, capitalism, will look so different to us that it will be. It's like the ship of Theseus, right? Like, you replace the boards, and then at what point does it become a whole new ship entirely?
Or like a Kardashian, yeah, same thing.
But or a Kardashian.
I think we've had this conversation before. It's so far in the future, and it may be something that we haven't even conceived yet. There's no reason to think it's going to be socialism or communism.
Because I want to
capitalism. It could evolve into something completely unimaginable to us right now.
But right now, that seems to be the best. That seems to be the best future to push for right now. So I'm going to advocate for that, because even if in my lifetime we never see the end of capitalism, I want to push capitalism in the direction that makes things better for people in a way
I have no problem with that whatsoever. Yeah. Like improving capitalism.
That is in fact, in my immediate sense, that is what we have to, especially over here in America. We have, being like the world power, we have I think you don't like this, but like I think we have an obligation to
an opportunity.
An opportunity, yeah, sure. To make our economic systems better for everyone, and that's not. I'm not just saying everyone as in everyone in America. I mean everyone in the world. There is so much good that we as the United States can do. We need to get our shit together.
Although, yeah, we
I
can
want
help
to
our
see
own.
him and
We can
Talcott
help our
have
own
a
citizens
conversation.
first. We can have our own citizens. I think we
Utopia.
should. Yeah, that's true, Libya. You want to.
He's
try to go
streaming
talk to
now.
Talcott.
Actually, y'all, we should go over to Talcott's.
What's his subject today,
I'd like
Jeff?
to hear what you and Talcott have to say to each other. You guys would have an interesting conversation. I
Because
think.
what is he? An anarch? He's an old hippie, and he's very anti-capitalist.
He's communist socialist.
He probably hates billionaires more than you do, but I think he would be opposed to your vision of just improving capitalism.
Yeah,
Probably.
he hates capitalism.
He believes in a top-down revolution that's going to happen whenever we all learn to love each other and
there's no sociopath or narcissist ever, because they're all going to learn to love each other.
But yeah, he's getting money from the government every month.
Oh, Talcott is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Get that bag.
He got injured when he was in the service, so he gets a $300 check from him every month.
Did he drop a mailbag on his foot?
No, when he was in the army.
That's even more undeniably based. All right, look. All right, I support people getting in the military solely so they can get injured and get off with getting the government to pay them a bunch of money for the rest of their life. I'm so for that.
I mean, I guess if you gotta suffer the injury.
Years and I don't get anything from them.
Oh, I mean, you should, but
I know I should, but I won't.
I'm suffering injury. I suffered injury all day today from just being on this panel. I'm not going to get shit for it.
I mean, that's true. We all suffered though, Jeff.
But love will fix it, Jeff.
I didn't suffer. I thought it was a good panel, and I.
Oh
I
my god! I need to have my Tylenol bottle right here when this is over.
I
took my head all over the universe today.
Quit jumping around and just like admit that he's a communist so that he can quit saying them and just.
He's not a communist.
Well, he
plays different parts. He takes different roles on panels to try to elicit
capitalism
reaction.
Because he got fired from his job is why he hates capitalism.
You're talking about Jack Talcott.
So this is like so much of this is like psychology and personal grievance masquerading as well thought out political positions. I notice that all the time.
I mean, maybe I don't know, so I don't know the guy, so I can't say. I mean, I could believe it. I absolutely know people who like got fired from a job.
I hate the police. I hate the system. I hate this. I hate that. Then it turns out, well, they were arrested for drugs. It's been time proven with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or not having a driver's license, so they automatically hate the system.
Yeah. Or like you said, I got fired from my job. I hate capitalism because I got fired from my job. They took all my money away.
I've been fired from all my jobs, and it doesn't make me hate capitalism.
Me neither. Like if capitalism, if you're on the bottom of the hierarchy in capitalism, you have a way to get you can use capitalism itself to move yourself up the hierarchy.
Assuming that,
and that's what
I mean, it's not guaranteed, but you can try.
Jack hasn't worked in 5 or 6 years.
Well, he's working he's working the streets.
YouTube grind.
These YouTube streets out here. He's out here on these YouTube streets, like working that street.
You want to go over there? He's streaming now.
Yeah, I don't think I have them. You guys feel I might listen, but I don't think I have the.
Come on, Chris. You know you want the trademark injected again.
The trademark? The trade. Oh, I forgot about that shit.
Do it for the stream.
Do it for the stream. Okay, you guys twisted my arm.
Just dump it. Can you dump us over there, or do we got to go over there?
Oh, we got to go over there.
We got to
go. Post a link in the back.
I don't think he's opened it up yet. He's still giving his little.
Oh, then let's wait until he's opened it up. I don't want to go over there and just like listen to him ramble.
But he does have the link up.
Okay.
His inspirational affirmation.
What?
I do. I honestly like. I don't know if he's a co-leader or what.
Pull him up on screen. Let's see what he's talking about.
All right.
Pull him up on screen so we can see what he's talking about. Let's see what's going on.
Get a taste of it.
Yeah, let's
I
see what he's
feel
on about
more
today.
peaceful and spiritual hanging out on his channel. I don't know what it is.
Well, he sits like a guru and like has this
There's an energy. He has an energy to it that I definitely feel, and I usually don't pick up on that kind of stuff.
But that's that NPC training or whatever they call it from all those
Neuro
you mean
linguistic.
NLC, like neuro linguistic programming?
well,
he's
you know,
good,
from the
it works
Tony
even on.
Robbins type people.
They
Oh,
just
yeah.
do the streams like this, right? So I don't know.
He
I mean,
can't
there's a
get
lot of
nobody on
streamers who do
stream.
streams like this. Obviously, I must like how I look, though, and yet I'm not caring for it. Dang it! This is a pattern. Actually, I became aware of myself, and take a look at yourself. How well do you care for the things that you've received?
Don't ask
How
me
well
those
do you
questions.
care for the things that you have received?
He's going to be homeless.
Anything
here
that's
soon.
in your life has been received. How well do we care for those things?
So
And
he's
what
on
does
the
that
hustle
mean?
too.
I mean, obviously, that includes the body.
He sounds like a bad Southern Baptist
How well
preacher
do you
right
care
now.
for that body you've been given?
It's a bunch of psychobabble.
Sounds like a
How
bad
well do
Southern
you
Baptist
care
preacher to me.
for
These
the
are all good
property,
questions. I mean,
the
I don't like the answers.
the
but
shelter you have,
they're
the
challenging.
things that you own? How
I
about
think
the
in the
relationships?
in the March he'll be homeless.
How well do you care for the
How do you
relationships?
know
Why do you
he's
say
talking
How much
about this?
care
say
and
that?
attention do you offer those things?
Why do you say he's
Okay,
being homeless?
That was a
Because
little taste.
he was due
That's
to
the biggest
last
insult a boomer can imagine.
year he was in foreclosure, and they were getting ready to sell his house on auction block. A day before it happened, one of these outfits, we buy houses,
Mm-hmm.
bought his house from him. Well, he
Right.
thought he was going to come out ahead. Well, they bought his house, and then they gave him a year's lease to stay there as part of the purchase price. Well, just a month or so ago, he was talking about how he got notice from this corporation that he was to leave at the end of March when his lease ran out, because that's all they put in the contract. He didn't get that much money when he sold it, and what he did get, I think he wasted on some of these
Damn, that sucks.
Tony Robbins programs.
Oh, really? Damn, that's a real bad use of money right there.
What's a Tony Robbins?
I bought his tapes when I was in my 20s. I fell for it too.
What was it?
Well,
Right, no shade.
Little
no shade.
motivational speaking tapes.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is before the internet or anything. So
Yeah, I
like,
was
to
about
have
to
say.
the Tony
Right.
Robbins tapes, that was something special.
But
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
talking about
I never
that
I never
genre.
saw the value in Tony Robbins. I don't know. But I guess I'm different.
But yeah, and that's closer it gets, you're going to see people talking about how he's going to be homeless. You've seen it a few mentions here and there, but the only reason we know is because he put it out there.
Why doesn't he do like a GoFundMe or a Patreon or something?
Because
He might have
He has his website. He has a business. He does
he's got
similar work that I do.
zero customers.
And you know that for a fact.
He has said it. I can only base
yeah,
it on what
he
he
did
says.
say it himself. I did.
Well,
hear him
then
say
that part because I have a similar practice. Like part of it is marketing, like connecting with the clients who need what you offer. And I don't know that the people on the stream or his client base, like none of them are going to be able to afford.
Well, he tried with a couple of them, and it ended up in total disaster.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, they said because once he gets off the channel in private, in one-on-one conversations, he gets real authoritarian, and
I
it's
can
his
definitely see
way,
that.
his way or no way. And when you try to buck him, he gets extremely aggravated.
I'm scared. Being a coach myself, like that's a reflection of his coaching skills if that's happening. But what I see him do on stream is not that. I see him doing good coaching practice on stream. Some of the approaches that he uses on stream.
Yeah, but a lot of this, as you've seen, he talks one thing, but when you call him out on it, he gets angry.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
He's not the bastion of peace that he tries to put himself.
Especially when you
forward.
bring up capitalism, that's where I see it the most. Bring up money or bankers,
or just disagree
That's
with
what I
him.
see.
Just disagree with him. I wasn't even disagreeing with him. I was just asking him practical questions about how to do the things.
I disagree with him all the time.
Does he do like JQ posting?
Does he do what?
Like JQing? He said bankers. Usually when people specifically have a thing against bankers, it's like it's not a surefire. But
he has this idea that we can, like, he's very post-capitalist. Like, there's a better way to distribute resources and regulate the economy than capitalism. And we just all come together and dismantle this current system, we can do a better job as the people.
So he's trying.
We all love each other and care about each other.
I asked him,
the hippie movement.
Who's going to work in a hard labor job for nothing?
He's Hitler hippie.
Yes.
Hitler hippie.
Or hippie Hitler, sorry. He's hippie Hitler.
And he lives in Spokane. He's Pacific Northwest, too.
I called him Hitlerish, and he said, so what?
Chuck, let's go hang out over there.
Okay. All right, put the link up. I'll be over there in a second.
Fuck it.
Come on, Chris.
I'll go talk to Anarcho Hitler.
Pull up your big boy pants.
It's so hard to call.
No, I'll be there in a second, guys. I probably gotta go. I think Lindsay wants some to eat, so I'm gonna get her some food, and I'll be over there in a minute.
I'm just waiting on the link.
And Lib, by the way, I really did miss you, man. I'm really glad you're back. I'm glad. Absolutely. I really did. I miss our talks and stuff.
Yeah, this is a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you again. I hope to see you in Discord soon.
Hell yeah.
Definitely. So I'll see you on.
We'll be here tomorrow as usual.
Yeah.
People and same.
Yeah, I'll be over there and talk lots in a minute. I'm just gonna get some dinner warmed up real fast. I got some stuff in the fridge. I just need to warm up the microwave. So I'll be just a minute.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you over there. We'll see you guys over there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be over there in 10 or 15.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye. Good to see you. Maybe we'll see you at Talcott's. I think you and him would have.
Yeah, I think I might head over there and see what he's about.
Okie doke, and good seeing you.
Yep, good seeing you.
We'll see you around the hood, the streets. Okay, that was what a show today. NeuroJack's getting his contributions are getting more and more interesting and enlivening and challenging. So I guess thank you, Jack. For me, it's just maybe it's an ADHD thing, but it really whiplashed me all over the place today. So I had some videos and stuff I was going to do today. I think I'm going to do them tomorrow, but we have a slight little rebrand going on. We're going to switch from the Gen X Jeff Extreme Stream. We're still going to be extreme. Nothing's going to be different. It's going to be the same people, same type of conversations. But I have some new thumbnails that I want to use that a friend of mine helped me. It's their AI thumbnails and slightly different branding. And we're now going to be called Outliers in Exile. And we're an open panel experience for outsiders, rebels, and other creative misfits. So that's going to kind of brand the new direction I want to take the stream. So tomorrow when I create today when I create the new link for tomorrow, it's not going to be the normal thumbnail, Gen F Jeff Extreme Stream. Guys say extreme. Well, it's still going to be extreme. Who knows? Maybe I'll put it in the description. So look for new thumbnails, new title, Outliers in Exile, an open panel experience. But it's me, it's us, it's the same channel and the same people. We're just going to try out this new branding for a little while. So I look forward to launching that tomorrow, seeing all of you again here tomorrow. And now I think we're going to go fight with Jack Talcott for a little while and see if we can get him riled up. So with that said, let me find my music. I don't even remember what song I played. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Take care. It was fun, as always. Bye.